Call the meeting to order. Ask everyone to please rise for the singing of our national anthem. Just before we get into the agenda, as most of you know, we have a new Chief Administrative Officer in our midst, Mr. Dwight Dibbin, who comes to us after a distinguished career with the province of Alberta, most recently as Public Service Commissioner for Alberta. And I'll allow him to expand on that as he wishes when we get to the administration reports later on in the agenda. Item 1.0, additions to the agenda, additions or deletions to the agenda. I would entertain a motion to delete item 8.1 from the agenda. Sorry, was that Councillor Frederickson or? All right, all in favor? So 8.1 is removed from this agenda. Any additions? Seeing none, take a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councillor Nadeau, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 3.0, corrections or amendments to the October 28th, 2015 regular meeting of council minutes. Item 3.2, October 28th, 2015 organizational meeting of council minutes. And 3.3, the November 13th, 2015 special meeting of council minutes. All right. I would then take a motion to adopt the October 28th, 2015 regular meeting of council minutes, the October 28th, 2015 organizational meeting of council minutes, and the November 13th special meeting of council minutes. Councillor Bossert, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We move into item 5.0, the proclamations. We have three before us today. To start off with, we have Bullying Awareness Week. And so, I'm going to read just a little bit of the preamble before the preamble, because I think it's relevant to this and useful to reiterate. Bullying is repeated, deliberate, disrespectful behavior by one or more people toward another for their own gratification, which harms the target. And so, in recognition of Bullying Awareness Week, whereas bullying happens once every 7 minutes on the playground, once every 25 minutes in the classroom, and to 1 in every 6 persons in their workplace. And whereas bullying is a relationship problem, it is wrongful and hurtful and occurs in many environments, including schools, the community, at work, at home, and online. And whereas unhealthy relationships result from bullying, resulting from bullying not only affect children and youth, but these behaviors continue when they become adults. And whereas children, youth, adults, and communities share the responsibility for and have the ability to prevent and stand up to bullying, to promote healthy and safe relationships for all citizens of Drayton Valley. Therefore, I, Mayor Glenn McLean, do hereby proclaim November 15th through 21st, 2015 as Bullying Awareness Week in the town of Drayton Valley, and encourage all citizens to stand up to stop bullying and to work together to make Drayton Valley a bully-free community for all citizens. And item 5.2, proclamation for Universal Child's Day. As a parent, I thought every day was Child's Day, but I gather not. And so, Universal Child's Day, November 20th, 2015. It is more than just an age, it's a stage of life. Children hold a special place in our lives. Parenting is more than meets the eye at first glance. It consists of goals, love, hardship, perseverance, and optimally, success and pride. Raising a healthy and happy child is the greatest success any parent can hope to achieve. Through the responsibility though responsibility and pride should not end there. Children are profoundly influenced by the people and environment around them. As a member of society, we're all held accountable for the success of an individual child and the soaring potential they can achieve with proper nurturing. A child's family holds the strongest influence, though without good schools and supportive communities, the role is not complete. Every component of the town of Drayton Valley strongly encourages and supports families to share their ideas and come forward as a united front in order to grow as a community. There are countless examples of families and community working together which have strengthened us as a whole, such as the 4S Skate Park Committee's recent success and the numerous and dedicated volunteers involved in the Junior Forest Wardens Program. A well-rounded child is a product of a well-rounded community with the proper surroundings, exceptional support, and under the right care, children can learn and thrive. In addition, with a community that promotes education from infancy through adolescence, in child care settings and after-school programs, we can all do our part in assisting the parents of the community in raising a whole child. We must agree that children have the right to be safe, to be loved, to be heard, and belong. Therefore, on November 25th, 2015, which is also recognized by the United Nations, I, Glenn McLean, Mayor of the town of Drayton Valley, proclaim November 20th as International Children's Day in Drayton Valley. In honor of our children, I, Glenn McLean, Mayor of the town of Drayton Valley, pledge to spend 1 hour on International Children's Day valuing a child by listening to what they have to say and or doing what they want to do. I also challenge every adult in Drayton Valley to pledge the same. And moving on to 5.3, National Sports Day. Whereas 2015 has been proclaimed a year of sport in Canada, and whereas sport plays a powerful role in enhancing the lives of Canadians of all ages, and whereas it is desirable to encourage residents of Drayton Valley to become more active and healthy through sport and physical activity, and whereas it is desirable to recognize our appreciation for all the volunteers in sport, including coaches, officials, and administrators in our community who help instill a lifelong love of sport and physical activity in our children and youth. Therefore, I, Mayor Glenn McLean, do hereby proclaim that November 21st, 2015 be declared Sports Day in the town of Drayton Valley and encourage all citizens to celebrate and participate in the sports events taking place. Any other proclamations? Okay. Item 6.0 on our agenda, delegations. 6.1, National Bullying Awareness Week. We have, as subsets to that, Aim for Success and Pembina Crisis Connection Society Healthy Communities Coalition. So, is Aim for Success? Well, this is the most people we've had in here for a little while. Welcome, all of you. Chris, are you speaking to this?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. All right.
We were first.
Yep. You are up first.
Just waiting, Russell's just doing sending the PowerPoint over to the tech team.
Okay. Then what I would do is give you some time. Katie, are you prepared to go ahead? Okay, I'll invite Katie from PCCS/Healthy Communities Coalition up first. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Honorable Councillors. I'm here representing the Pembina Crisis Connection Society as well as the Healthy Communities Coalition. The Pembina Crisis Connection Society is a local nonprofit that has been serving Drayton Valley and surrounding communities for the past 25 years. We are dedicated to the prevention of violence of all forms, whether it be physical, psychological, sexual, financial, directed towards self and others. So this obviously includes bullying. And by far the most prevalent form of abuse in Canada is bullying. According to the Canadian Authority on Research and Resources for Bullying Prevention, Canada also has rates of bullying that are higher than 2/3 of developed Western countries. The majority of Canadian children will at some point engage in some form of bullying and experience some form of victimization. A small minority of children will also have frequent, long-lasting, serious, and pervasive involvement in bullying or victimization. Bullying can manifest in many forms: physical, social, verbal, can be based on religion, race, sex, ability, and of course then there's cyberbullying. But no matter what form, this repeated and intentional abuse causes very real harm. Children who are bullied suffer from increased mental and physical health issues such as anxiety, stomach aches, and there's also a higher rate of suicide among children who are bullied. These effects also tend to last into adolescence and adulthood. Significantly, though, research shows that bullying behaviors can also last into adolescence and adulthood. According to a recent study, 60% of boys who frequently bullied others in elementary schools had criminal records by the age of 24. That being said, youth who bully are themselves not free from harm. They are often the victims of bullying abuse from another person, whether it's a parent or another figure that has more power than they do. The mental and physical relational outcomes for youth who bully are just as bad as for those who are victimized. In other contexts, we might call this use of aggression by a person with greater power towards a person with less power child abuse, elder abuse, or intimate partner abuse. But in pure relationships, we call it bullying. All of the facts that I've just talked about support the opinion held by experts and by your Honourable Council that bullying is a relationship problem, and it's motivated by power, and that the best way to create preventive supports is by supporting development of healthy relationship skills. As part of our mandate at the Pembina Crisis Connection Society, we provide awareness, informational, and preventative programming for students, teachers, and parents. We provide various programs, including professional storytellers who share stories on healthy relationships, peer pressure, and how to be a good friend. We donate books to schools and community libraries that have been curated to promote healthy relationships in age-appropriate contexts. So from elementary to the junior high and high schools, and in the community libraries of Drayton Valley and Brazeau County. We work with our partners to share resources with community members through workshops, and we regularly respond to requests for information and referrals from community members facing issues of bullying. So PCCS is committed to continuing our work in schools with children, teachers, and parents, but we are also extending our concept of bullying prevention to include the community at large and workplaces. In recognition of the PCCS 25th anniversary, we are holding a speaker series this Friday that brings together experts on violence prevention topics, including bullying. And we bring them together with local and regional service providers, all for the benefit of our community members. As members of the Healthy Community Coalition, PCCS is also involved in the implementation and planning of the Drayton Valley Workplace Wellness Conference that's happening March 2016. This full-day conference targets employees and employers and challenges them to consider aspects of wellness and health beyond the physical. Our aim is to empower the workforce on both sides, so employers and employees, managers at every level, with the knowledge to develop and implement policies that create workplaces conducive to all forms of wellness, physical, emotional, relational, etc. This includes creating spaces free from workplace bullying and harassment. Workplace bullying or workplace harassment is most often psychological as opposed to physical, but can still cause severe personal and organizational harm. Workplace bullying, just like bullying in youth, is a relational issue motivated by power. Targets of workplace bullying are subject to many of the same negative mental and physical health outcomes as those child victims. These in turn lead to lower productivity and morale, increased absenteeism and turnover, as well as poor customer service and higher risk of workplace accident and injury. Both youth and workplace bullying are serious issues that exist in our community and negatively affect not just the perpetrators and victims, but all members of our community. I would like to commend the Council for the recognition of November 15th and 20 to 21st this year as Bullying Awareness Week and encourage them in their continued awareness of these prevalent and damaging abuse issues throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, for raising awareness yet again of this important issue. I have a question of you, and then I'll open it up to council if they have any questions.
Yeah.
At the beginning of your presentation, you indicated, I may have this wrong, but Canada doesn't compare favorably with other Western nations in
the rates of bullying, yes.
Yeah.
So our rates are higher than 2/3 of other developed nations.
Do we have any idea why that is?
Why that is? There were no concrete theories. There's lots of theories, but there's no solid information as to exactly why.
Seem to be inconsistent with how we view ourselves as a nation, but we don't always view ourselves accurately, do we?
Exactly. Was quite a disturbing fact. The full study was done by, I believe, the World Health Organization, and can be accessed through PrevNet, which is, the leading authority on Canadian research and statistics on bullying.
Well, thank you very much. Council, any questions, comments? No? All right. You're off the hook. Thank you. And going back to 6.1.1, aim for success, Chris Lees. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mayor and Councillors, for this great opportunity to come before you today. And I guess how I like to look at it is celebrate the work of what's been going on in our local schools and with our young people over the past year, and really kind of talk a little bit about some of the great work they're doing in the junior high school this next week and over the coming year. As Katie mentioned, bullying certainly is a prevalent issue. It's a prevalent issue around the world. It doesn't go away, and certainly doesn't sound good when we hear statistics like we just heard. However, I think the one fantastic thing about Alberta and about Drayton Valley is we're very lucky to have the mental health capacity building projects in our province. And in the summer, I got a chance to go over to the UK, and my sister actually works in the education system over there. And it's kind of quite amazing to actually hear how lucky we are that we have such social emotional wellness programs and initiatives that are embraced by schools, and to see local administrators get on board and really engage in the many initiatives that we are so extremely lucky to have, and to have as a province that they took it as an initiative to say we want to look after our children, we want to look after our youth and wrap around our families. So I think maybe as a whole Canada we need to kind of move forward, but I think, you know, locally and provincially, I think we are certainly doing a fantastic job when it comes to relationships. Hopefully any second now the presentation will be ready for us to begin with. Sure. Jake, do you want to come up and share some of the stuff. So Jake's part of our youth action team. We'll kind of talk a little bit more about our youth action team shortly, but Jake's going to kind of explain to you guys and give you a bit of a challenge about some of the stuff that's been going on in schools.
The Youth Action Team is about educating school youth and the community about mental health, mentoring, and bullying. Some of the activities that the Youth Action Team has done is drawing positive chalk murals around the community, mentoring and educating younger grades about their future at HW Pickup, and putting posters with confident boosting messages. The Youth Action Team has helped me meet new people, have new experiences, and learn that some people just need someone to talk to. I see the Youth Action Team becoming a big success in the future by having more members and doing more activities.
So Jake's been put on the hot spot here, just so you know. One of our youth action team got laryngitis or something overnight, and she can't speak. So he's been kind of on the hot spot. Like, yeah, he's not prepared quite yet. So
You're doing fine, Jake.
some slack for this
Yeah,
last part
yeah,
of this next
yeah.
one.
You're doing just fine.
So we're going to be doing an acronym activity, and this is an activity we are doing in the school for Anti-Bullying Week. Someone's name will be written vertically, and you will write something kind about them horizontally using each letter of the name. We don't ask you to do this now, just get it back to the person you have by the end of this week.
It sounds like something we could do in one of our meetings, though.
The youth action team kind of wanted to challenge you as a council to do that amongst yourselves, and it's the same activity that they're leading young people in, as a way to kind of encourage people to think more positively about each other.
We'll try that at our next budget meeting.
So could all the town councilors just put up their hands, and the kids are going to give you a person's name, and you're going to do an acronym about that person. All right? Okay, so
But we're not doing it here.
you don't have to.
Right.
Give you the week, but make sure that person gets it sometime during.
Excellent. Oh, I still need one. Can I get one? Thanks very much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
You've
think
got
it's
a-
funny how technology always has told us that it's meant to make our lives easier, but I think all too often, sometimes it can have this way of throwing us a curveball. So I'm going to ad-lib, and I'm going to try and present without my presentation. Because I have my notes in front of me, which is good.
If,
You know what, I'm
if
gonna
it
keep
comes
going
up while you're
time,
speaking,
and
then,
we'll
yeah.
hopefully
Yeah, we'll
the
jump
tech
into
team
it.
can catch
Yeah.
me up. So I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible because we've got a couple of youth that are going to share a couple of neat things with you. But for those that are not aware, I'm just going to kind of really just kind of catch you up a little bit about what Aim for Success is all about. So Aim for Success, we're actually 7.5 years old now, so we're kind of moving out of we're almost moving to that, adolescent stage. We were founded through a joint partnership through Alberta Health Services and Alberta Education. And provincially, we have 37 projects, currently in 52 different communities and over 178 different schools across the province. So it's becoming larger each year. And really, each of the projects are a little bit different, but they basically exist to promote positive mental health and reduce the stigma attached to mental health. So each of the programs look a little bit differently, but we really focus on social emotional wellness, and we teach skills such as, oh, wonderful, I have my presentation, wonderful. Oh. Okay, great, I don't have to look at the floor now. Where do I point? Start spinning it around. Oh, wonderful. I have a human remote. Even better. Fabulous. Okay, so yes, we focus on things like stress, anxiety management, empathy and coping programs, anti-bullying, and mentoring programs. Wonderful, here we go. I'll let Sue catch up to the next one. So we wanted to kind of give you a bit of a brief snippet on what Aim for Success actually looks like in schools. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what we care about, is making a difference to real children, to real families and real individuals. So some of the ways, if we can move to the next slide, Sue. And next one. And wonderful. So some of the ways that we do it in schools, one of the ways that we help teach kids about stress management and helping to really regulate and enable children to have self-control is through programs like yoga. Last year we had over 779 students locally take part in yoga. Now, it wasn't just a one session yoga. This is yoga that was often taking place over 8 to 10 weeks. And these are programs that have been gravitated to by local principals and educators, which is fabulous because this is not a program that kids have to pay to go to or for an extracurricular activity, but it's something that is incorporated into their natural educational learning environment. So social emotional programs. How I mentioned earlier, social emotional learning really takes on many different aspects, but we have programs like the Council for Boys and Young Men, the Girls Circle, the Fourth Hour. We have a quite array of evidence-based outcome measured programs, and in the past year we had over 659 students across HW Pickup and all our elementary schools that took part in our social emotional program. And just to give you an indication, this year that number is looking to double. This year we're on target to have over 1,300 students complete programs. And I've also kind of tried to throw in a few snippets to connections to social development plan that was recently released. So how it kind of connects this one in is that we're kind of encouraging, supporting, and educating the community to understand the importance of early intervention, because we do our social emotional learning programs all the way from grade 1 up to grade 9, and it also supports and enhances local mental health prevention services for all ages. Restorative justice conflict resolution. So, as Katie mentioned earlier, bullying is a real complex issue, and children kind of tend to get into conflict for a wide variety of issues. And so how do we deal with it? Well, we have to deal with it on a multi-level approach. Restorative justice is one of the ways that we do that. And it really takes on a complex role. We do restorative justice all the way from individuals, small groups, to whole classrooms, and we even do community restorative justice involving families, children from different schools that have got into conflict around social media, cyber bullying. In the past year, we had 359 students participate in restorative justice and conflict resolution locally. And I've lost my presentation. Fabulous. Okay. Well, that's why it's good to have notes. So how that connects to our social development plan is that it recognises and broadens a community-wide anti-bullying campaign in a practical way. It also connects into cyberbullying and proactively prepares children, youth and families for understanding the actual application of dealing with these types of conflict issues, and it encourages youth to participate in leadership and recreational opportunities as we train children up and young people in conflict resolution in schools. Roots of Empathy, our wonderful little teacher. So Roots of Empathy program we've been running for around 6 years. One of your counsellors was actually still, I believe, a Roots of Empathy instructor. Last year we had 234 students take part in our year-long Roots of Empathy program. And basically it's a program where that little baby there gets to come into schools and be adopted by a classroom. Children get to learn all about that little baby and to see it develop and learn actually practically what does it mean to look at the early development of a child and learn about actually empathy and then how to reapply that in a school-based peer-to-peer situation. Family events. So one thing that we've really been developing further the past few years is our family events. And the whole idea of our family events is to provide opportunities for families to come together to connect in a very informative, educational way, but also in a real fun, engaging way. And we always provide our family events free, first and foremost, but we provide them at multiple different locations across our community to allow opportunities for families to see the broad spectrum of fantastic opportunities that we have. Last year we had 341 individuals joining our family events. How that connects to our social development plan is it promotes community resources in innovative manners. It also increases family programming to help youth connect and parents connect. Summer leadership camps. So AIM Success, I guess we're in our 7th year of doing gender-specific camps. So we run a boys' summer camp and a girls' summer camp. The camps are very much focused on supporting that transitional age group from elementary to junior high. They also very much focus on social, emotional, and leadership skills, things like tolerance, leadership, team working, perseverance. Last year, when we opened our boys' camp, it was actually sold out within 7 minutes, and the girls' camp was sold out within 8 hours. So they've become highly popular. Our camps are also completely community open. We actually last year had a child from every single school, including the Catholic school system and the homeschool system, take part. So it really is a community camp. We continue to establish, how does it connect in? Well, it continues to establish additional programming for those out of school periods, and it targets initiatives at specific age groups. So bullying prevention. So bullying prevention, and as probably you're all aware, this week is Anti-Bullying Week across Canada. And for Anti-Bullying Week, we've got a lot of initiatives and programs that we do. However, as an organization, we're a big believer that just like any of these initiatives, get fit, lose weight, it cannot just be a week-long thing. I mean, we've heard the term, dogs for life, not just for Christmas. Anti-bullying is the same. If all we ever do is focus on it for 1 week of the year, it's ludicrous. What we believe is that anti-bullying initiatives have got to become part of our culture, both in communities and in schools, and in the way that we interact between everybody, not just amongst children, but as adults and as parents. We need to model this. So Aim to Success throughout the year helps to promote positive relationships, teach conflict management skills, and deliver programs that directly address bullying, all within the context of a school and community-based. So we're just kind of going to quickly glance through some of the ways that we do this. So one of the ways that we do it is through student empowerment, and that's through our youth action teams. Now this is just one of our youth action teams that we have here. We actually have a youth action team in all the elementary and junior high schools in town. And then just to give you an idea of numbers, last year we had 92 students volunteer for our youth action teams, and they made a direct difference to over 146 other students in schools. And that's students that they've mentored with. That is not students that they've presented to or that they've taught about anti-bullying or mentorship or about wellness and mental health. That is just students that they've worked with and that they've supported. And they operate under 3 core values, which is bullying prevention, promoting positive mental health, and also about mentoring. So each of our teams here become trained in how to become a good mentor. They do a brief training program, and then we also kind of coach them around mentoring and bullying prevention. So during each of those weeks and throughout the year, they work with each of the schools to help kind of empower and be the champions of those areas with each of the schools. And how that connects into the social development plan is it involves youth in creating recreational sports and social programs. Because these young people then, the idea is we empower them in schools to be the face of change and to be the grassroots model of embracing mental wellness and anti-bullying. So another way that we do this is through bullying prevention programs. So we use evidence-based programs such as a Girls Circle, Boys Council, and the 4th R, which enable young people to develop positive interpersonal relationships. And it really, those programs focus on helping young people to understand and to be taught the skills necessary to develop well and understand about relationships. So as mentioned earlier, this year we're on track to have over 1,300 students complete these programs as part of their schooling across all of Drayton Valley. And these are typically programs that take between 10 to 22 weeks to complete for the students. So it's not a program that they do in 1 week or 2 weeks. This is a big commitment for both students, but also for teachers and for our local administrators to take in and to buy on board. And we are kind of lucky to have schools and administrators that believe in this, because I know of other schools across Canada that are not lucky enough to have this, and are not lucky enough to have administrators that believe in this enough to say we need to incorporate this into our school. So another way to do it is the intervention side of it. So when it comes to, we go from bullying prevention to actually bullying intervention. And so one of the ways that we do the intervention based is we have a program called the BPU, which is out in the United States. It's called the Bullying Prevention Unit. And it's delivered at elementary age between the grades 1 and 5. And it's a program really that teaches kids from a young age to actually understand what bullying is. There's a lot of misconceptions out there upon what actually bullying is, and that often starts from a very young age. You'll hear children saying, well, Billy won't play with me, therefore I'm being bullied. Or I don't have any friends, therefore I'm being victimized. And so from a young age, it teaches children, parents as well, because there's a parental component, and also teachers, about using universal language and creating a common knowledge of actually what is a bully and what is just someone being a bad friend or not being kind in schools. We also use restorative justice, as we mentioned earlier. And those are really our two focused areas that we look at actually the intervention side of bullying. And I'm going to quickly skirt the last few ways. The other big way is mentorship. For many young people, unfortunately, we have a lot of young people, and not just young people, adults too, that do not have enough supportive, caring peers and adults in their life. And mentorship has been shown, research after research, to be a humongous way that we can support positive change across our entire community. So we look at mentoring, or we're beginning to look at mentoring in a multifaceted approach. One of the ways that we look at it is through peer-to-peer mentoring. So we train up peers across our entire community in each of the schools, and they then in turn train up and support other mentees within their each school-based system. So currently we have 60 mentors that are trained, and they are then paired up with mentees from their school. So we'll atypically work with the grades 5s and 6s, and they'll mentor some of the younger grades who need somebody to kind of coach, mentor, support them and build that trust in their life. And that fits into the social development plan to encourage business to mentor youth, and you'll see the connection later on. Another aspect of mentoring we do is what we call inter-school mentoring. So what we've been doing there is trying to actually connect up each of the schools in town. So each of the schools we've kind of sistered up. So for instance, a good example would be HW Pickup Junior High. They've been sistered up with Aurora School. And so atypically a lot of the grade 6 students, as they face, coming towards the end of that grade 6 year, they face a lot of anxiety about transitioning. They have a lot of questions, a lot of frustrations and anxiety, and so we'll buddy a lot of those grade 6 students up, and often an entire class with groups of grades 7, 8s and 9s from the junior high school, and they'll spend time over at Aurora School, supporting them, coaching them, answering questions, and then towards the end, they will actually come over to the junior high school and spend some time over there with the students. And it's really built around the idea of helping to reduce that anxiety and build more healthy, well-rounded individuals. Adult to student mentoring. So another big aspect is enabling local caring adults to have an opportunity to mentor young people. It's incredibly beneficial, and it's an incredibly resourceful way to be able to use the community as a way to be able to make a difference. And that really fits the social development plan, both, as we mentioned earlier, about connecting businesses to young people, but also seniors too, because we kind of currently, we have a partnership as well through Drayton Valley Thunder, where they come in and support our kids through our Ronald's Readers Literacy program, but we also have a program where we're connecting local seniors and bring them into school and to coach and mentor some of our young people at Evergreen School. And finally, I come to our Bullying Week stuff. And when I say finally, because to me it's like the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on the top of the cake. It's not the cake, it's the cherry on the cake. And I emphasize that because it's got to be the top of your work. It's kind of like fire prevention. Fire prevention is what we do all year. Bullying prevention, we do it all year. Bullying Prevention Week, we just shout about it. We just remind everybody, but we remind people what we've been doing all year. And so this year, this week is really a big week that our youth action teams get out into classrooms and they present about actually what bullying is. They speak to their peer groups, to grade classes, they educate them both about bullying, but they also use activities, they read books to kids, and they really use different relational tools to help children understand how to be good friends and understand really what bullying is all about and how to give them tools to enable the young people to be able to actively understand how to counteract bullying. And so these are some of the pictures from various classes across the schools in town, and these kids have been the same this week, doing presentations and activities within their school. And this week, on the next slide, this year, with the young people across all of Drayton Valley doing a campaign. Now the campaign is called our Pay It Forward campaign. And the whole idea of our Pay It Forward campaign is to build a grassroots movement of change. And as many people have mentioned, the best way to counteract bullying is through kindness. And so the young people create a campaign, and the idea of the campaign is to really focus on young people and individuals in the community doing random acts of kindness to everybody. And how it's going to work is each of our youth action teams, we have around 100 students. Each of them are going to be challenged to give 10 random acts of kindness within their school and 10 within the community. And I'll maybe let you explain a little bit about what it's all about.
If you have received a Pay It Forward card, that means someone has completed a random act of kindness for you, and they wish nothing in return. All they want is that you pass on this card along with an act of kindness to someone else. You can pay it forward anytime you like. No act of kindness is too big or too small. If you decide not to pay it forward, then no one will know but you. Thank you for your support, and we hope your day has been made a little bit brighter by someone's heartfelt message.
So we have 2,000 cards that have been made up, and the idea is it's a quiet, secretive grassroots movement that's going to be inspired by youth and be delivered by youth and then embraced by our community. So it's a very simple idea. It's not a new idea. We've stolen it from somebody else, I'm sure. But our young people would like to challenge you guys to do the same within your council and within the people that you meet. So we have some young people with some cards that like to come out and give them to the councillors. So those of you with cards, if you'd like to go and find a councillor or a mayor and hand them out. While they're doing that, we have one really exciting thing that we'd like to do before we go. We have various clubs that we're absolutely, I really can't speak more highly of our administrators locally in our schools, because they really are fully embracing of the initiatives that we've been spoken about, but also many other things that go on in schools. One of the things that we've launched this year is a slam poetry club. I don't know how many people are familiar with slam poetry. It's kind of like reading poetry, but in a very much more modern, in a more modern way. Maybe I'll let Sue explain it a little bit more.
All right, so we started a Slam Poetry Club at HW Pickup. There's 3 of us so far, but it's been great for me because I used to write poetry as a child a lot when I was bullied. So it really helped me to be able to write poetry to let my emotions out. So it's actually been a real treat for me to be with these girls because I'm getting into poetry again, and I love it. I'm looking back at my past, writing things out, and it's been an awesome experience. So slam poetry isn't your normal poetry where you sit there and you read a poem. It's more like acting out, being passionate about something and just expressing it on paper, all right? So Erwin is here today, and she is going to present her slam poem, all right? In October, we decided that we were going to focus on bullying, all right? So 3 of us wrote, I wrote one, Erwin wrote one, and another, Emma, wrote one, all right? And it's kind of neat. All 3 of us have 3 totally different perspectives about bullying. Mine was from past experience. You'll see what Erin's is about, and Emma's is just really cool. So the metaphor, that's really cool. So Erwin is going to present hers today, and yeah.
They look you up and down, and then express a disapproving frown. They whisper when you walk by. When you question their conversation, they cover it up with a lie. They point out your imperfections and your insecurities you are hoping nobody'd mention. Your mind is clouded with the thought, this is all your fault. It's your fault you always lose. It's your fault they disapprove. It's your fault you don't look like they do. It's your fault you're not their definition of beauty. These thoughts are tearing apart what's left of your self-esteem. It's not your fault they make you hate who you are, leaving scar after scar. And you could only be torn down so many times before you quit rebuilding yourself. Every word hurts more and more. Every comment is a spear that hits your core. Your flaws are weapons they use against you. You are left unarmed and work as their target.
Endless loneliness and pain is impossible to forget. Everything said and done to you was engraved in your memory. You can only be told you're worthless so many times before you start believing. Every word hits you like 1,000 knives. Disappointing, ugly, fat, stupid. It's all untrue. It's all lies. But you can only be broken so many times before you quit picking up the pieces, realizing it's pointless to keep making empty promises to yourself, telling yourself just one more step and it will all end. Aren't you done playing pretend? You can only be warned of potential abuse so many times before you start receiving. You believe their destructive comments because they are the closest things to compliments they give, trying to tell you how to live in fear, depressed, hating yourself. You can only be emotionally scarred so many times before the thought of physical death seems like your best option. What's the point if everyone hates you anyway? No one cares if you leave or stay, because if they did, it wouldn't have gone this far. Your overwhelming hatred for yourself exists only because your tormentors are unsatisfied with their lives. They see your candle shining so bright. They only know darkness and envy the light. With their cruel words, negativity, and doubt, they try to blow your candlelight out. Don't let this be a battle they win. Replace their negativity with the person you truly are. Important, beautiful, smart, because in the end, those are the thoughts that will carry you out of the dark.
So Renan's going to just come up, and this is one last thing we're doing at HW Pickup. We have take-it notes, so you know how you have like babysitting, and then you have the phone numbers on the bottom. Well, we decided to do positive messages instead, so go ahead.
We decided, we came up with this paper. It has slips on the bottom. You tear it up, you give it to someone. It has nice, kind things for Bully Awareness Week. You just tear it up, give it to someone, and what we'd like you to do is just put it up in your office and use it for good.
It was kind of neat. I went into HW Pickup on, I think it was Monday this week. I was walking down the corridor and I saw one of these. And it was one of the things that Sue had decided to do, and I didn't know about it. And I saw it, and everything was ripped off by one at the end, and I looked at it and thought, and it was one of those, wow, because you know, often we talk about the idea of doing these in schools, and you know, often the concern is, are we going to put them up and no one will use them? But when you put them up in the junior high school, and you see kids grabbing onto them, ripping them off, and handing them to other kids, you realize that, you know what? As much as we have a stereotypical view sometimes on local schools, sometimes what we need to do is look in the mirror more, and we need to often actually see the reality of many of our kids, our schools, our principals, is often very different than we think they are. And when you actually spend time in the schools and see how our young people want to encourage each other and are actually making a difference quietly, it's so incredibly encouraging, because it really tells us that people like Anita and Mike here are doing a fantastic quiet job. They may not be shouted out about what they do, but they are making a fantastic job. So I just want to thank you for giving us the time today. Hopefully we've shared you a little bit about the fantastic work going on in schools. And I just want to thank all the principals in town, and more importantly our young people, for all the work you guys are doing, because without you guys, our work would be nothing. So thank you guys very much. And thank you, town councillors, for the opportunity today.
Thank you very much, Chris and Sue, and all of the young ladies and gentlemen behind you there. In particular, I want to say that poem that was just read, there's a considerable strength and maturity in those words, and I think they're very powerful. So please continue with that. I can see why Sue likes that activity. So,
Anyone have any questions for the young people?
Councillor Bossert.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and sharing some time with us this morning. I'm incredibly impressed by what you're doing individually and as a group of young people that have come together for a great initiative in your community, in your schools, in your family and in yourselves, and that's to create healthy relationships, and that's truly the bedrock of our society is strong relationships. So I encourage each one of you to continue participating in YAT, Youth Action Team. I think that's a great acronym, and I just think you're all on the right track, and you're going to show up in your community doing great things in the future. I'm very impressed with you and want to offer my congratulations.
Councillor Nadeau.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I thought that was excellent. I thought you did a really good job, and you were very confident up there. I don't know if you were nervous at all, but you rocked it. In the past, when I was actually in grade 7, I was a peer support on the peer support team, and it helped me immeasurably in what being a mentor, but also in what I got back from it being a mentor. And it's something that you know, because I work with you and other things, that it's something I'm passionate about, being a mentor. So I encourage you to continue that, because you never know where that's going to lead you. And I'm really pleased to be working with an event about empowerment and self-esteem building for young girls and leadership in the spring. And I think you guys do an amazing job. I think your school systems in our community are amazing, and we have great staff to support that. And I think our kids are phenomenal. So these kinds of days always these are feel-good days for me, because it leaves me with hope for what we have for our future with our students.
Very well said. Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thanks for the presentation. And I was a former employee of Aim for Success, and I've been out of Aim for Success for about 1.5 years. And in that 1.5 years, I'm blown away by the amount of expansion that you guys have been able to do. I know at the time when I was there, it was daunting just thinking about how are we able to bring all these programs to all these children with a team of 4. And you guys are still a team of 4, right? And just to see the programs expand and explode in the community is wonderful. I also just want to say, Chris, I really enjoyed that you did link your presentation to our town social development plan, which it's great to see that we do have such a resource that fits so well with a document that we are using to shape our community. And just finally, I wanted to say, this is great. This totally livens up our our meetings. Not to say that Mayor McLean is not a wonderful chair for our meetings.
But I think you just said that,
yeah. But anyways, thank you very much.
Again, thanks very much. Were there any other, Mr. Nadeau?
I just want to say that that poem was incredibly powerful, and I hope that moving forward, Aim for Success would actually have a compilation of these poems that these students can one day come back to and actually reminisce on it. So hopefully that there's a compilation sometime.
All right, thanks so much again, all of you, and all of you in the snappy white T-shirts and otherwise. Thanks so much for being here today. It's the best part of our day. All right, next up, item 6.2, we have Universal Child's Day presentation from the Early Childhood Development Center, or on behalf of the Early Childhood Development Center.
Teresa Dunlop, Program Manager, Community Services. Bernice isn't here today, but I will just bring her message. We have linked National Child Day with the fact that we have Jersey Day on the same day. So all of the children at ECDC will be having their favorite sports jersey on, whatever that is, on Friday. And you counselors were good enough to put your jerseys on for us as well to promote that day. We're just trying to join with Canada and showing how much we love our sports and all of our teams that we have, and maybe a little shout out to the coaches and all those volunteers and managers that are there. The other message that the Early Childhood Development Center is getting out for that day is just getting children outside and how beneficial that is. So whether it's organized sport or whether it's just going out to play, that's an awesome thing to do. We've linked it as well with Sports Day, and I'm just going to take a couple minutes and introduce Sheila Bailey, who's put together that Saturday program, and she's just going to take a few minutes because we can't compete with just what just happened, but to go over the events that's going to happen on Saturday.
I have a few of these brochures, if anybody wants to see them.
Sure.
Again, I want to just say thank you to all the counselors for all of your support and putting on your jerseys and helping us to really promote this event. We've had a pretty good community turnout as well. On November 21st, we have a few events, 5 to be exact, happening in the community. It worked out great that we're going to showcase a Renette tournament. A few of the surrounding communities are coming in for a 2-day tournament. So we're really promoting the community to come out and watch the young Renette players and support the coaches that are there day in and day out helping these young athletes get started in their, if you want to say, career in Renette. We also have a healthy hike to promote getting outside, getting healthy. She promotes bringing your strollers, dogs with you, so definitely going out as a family and really getting that exercise that's so easy and there's no cost to that. The Brazier Gymnastics Club is also opening their doors to promote young kids to come in and try gymnastics for the first time. There'll be trained coaches there as well to help them get along their way, and hopefully we get some new gymnasts out of that. Our wonderful Total Works facility is doing an open house, and we're facilitating beach ball volleyball to show the different uses that we can use our squash courts for, so that's exciting. And as well as our Park Valley Pool, they're having some different events. They have underwater hockey, they have water polo, and water basketball happening. So make sure that you get out and try some of these sports, and definitely promote it to your families. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comment? No? Great, thank you. All right, item 6.3, the Shark Park Playground Committee. Welcome. I invite you to just state your name for the record, if you don't mind. And
Sure. My name is Dana Cropley.
And I'm Daniel Hartley. Is that all right if I just pass out?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I will start. Oh, maybe I won't. Just hold on. We have PowerPoint too.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know, thanks. Did you find the little clicker thingy? Oh, it's on. Okay, good. Okay, well, good morning, Mr. Mayor and councillors. We are here with the Shark Park to present to you the Shark Park Inclusive Playground. As you can see by our mission statement, I'm just going to condense it. We are here to promote accessibility for all abilities. Okay, so how it all started was the old playground at our school. So our school, sorry, you're good? Okay, so our school site is the St. Anthony School site. Had to be removed as it no longer passed current safety requirements. It was 25 plus years old. That's not old though, just so you know. That's not technically old, but in park standards apparently it is. So we had it removed. And instead of discarding our old playground, we actually found a home for it in Belize through the Emmanuel Foundation, who we came into contact with through the Rotary Club. They refurbished the pieces to meet safety requirements in their country, and now they have a new park.
So the current playground that we are using, it's approximately 20 years old. It's nestled in the heart of a very populated residential area near Aspen View. And, the reason for replacement, or in addition to this playground, is it's undersized. So we have about 400 kids at the school. Right now, at recess and whatnot and lunch, the students actually have to take shifts, and just an anecdotal note, my one daughter, I asked her the one day how the playground was today or who she played with. She's like, Dad, it's not my playground day, that's Tuesday. So I mean, the kids literally, they take shifts to accommodate right now.
For sure. So, but being very positive about Drayton Valley, in this community, we have all kinds of activities for children with, who are blessed with many abilities. We do recognize we do have many playgrounds, indoor and now an outdoor rink. It's amazing. Skate park, town gym, and I mean, Aim for Success, violence prevention, a lot of awesome programs.
Just a bit about the location. So at the school, it's located in the middle of the school grounds. You can see there, there's quite a bit of distance from parking lot, front of the school. The access is approximately 80 meters. There's some inconsistent terrain in the way that the design and the layout is the drainage swales that kind of go away from the school there. There's some grading issues, no hard surface paths. So we just wanted to kind of give you a representation of where the current playground is on the location. That takes us to the accessibility. So right now, the way that the park sits, it's cribbed by wooden cribbing that's a step down into the pea gravel. Now, the pea gravel, of course, isn't as easy to access for some of the smaller children, some of the older people, or people with mobility constraints. The current park, as you can see, elevated platforms, limited ramps or stairs. When we started to design the park, it kind of brought us to the realization that we could replace or add another similar structure. But once we got looking at it, we realized that the community has no all-access park.
So yeah, we actually came to this realization on a more personal, as a mom, when a few students came to our school with a variety of abilities. We realized that not all the children had an opportunity to play. So therefore, our vision has become accessibility for everyone, regardless of your abilities.
So this here, basically, so you can refer to your handout, the larger slides, the 11 by 17s. This shows you the playground layout. So in general, you can see the playground itself. Now, what we've done, and we'll speak to that later, but in the discussions with the community, we realized that an outdoor gym is also something that is of interest to quite a few members of our community. So we'll first speak to the park part and then to the outdoor gym.
Okay, so this park truly promotes accessibility for all abilities. It promotes healthy kids, healthy families through mental activities, physical activities, and emotional well-being. In the handout, you can all see, do you ever all have the handout now? So you can see the 3D portion of the park. You can either look at the plan or the 3D picture, either or. In the handout, you can see the physical aspect of interaction with the ramps. The ramps are 48 inches wide so that it promotes use of mobility equipment, whether it be a stroller, a walker, a wheelchair, cane, crutches, whatever it may be. It promotes mobility for everybody. I mean, lots of great pieces of equipment. It caters to many sensory abilities, interactive games, balance areas, spinning, rocking, swingers, and most of all, I feel is most important, playing with friends, families, catering to emotional well-being. Everyone's included, everyone can play.
Now, just a couple of the points on this one too. So with the last park design being limited in space and capacity, this one has a larger footprint. It also has more stations, so there can be separation of play. 70% of it, I believe, is accessible to...
It's 95%.
Well, there you go. Oh, she's got me there.
95% is accessible to everyone.
The surface is tile matted, and one of the other things too that was a positive feature with this company is vandal-proof hardware. Just in the past, there has been instances where that's taken place. Now, when we started discussions with the community, we started to realize, again, like I said, that there was a real need for an open outdoor gym. So that's something along the journey that we've added in place. And again, in the 3D layout, you can see it just in the front.
So yeah, we've been in partnership with the outdoor gym, spreading out into the community, really making this a community project. We've partnered with Frank Maddock High School. You all might know Betty Verreau from the Beehive, and we're also in talks with the 55 Plus Club. So the location of the new playground.
So with that outdoor gym, and one of the things we wanted to, I guess, note of is in the current economic conditions. This is something where, you know, there's a gym, there's a playground, it's all attached, it's easily accessible, it's free, you know, it's something that right now is appealing to all families in the community. And as well, I know the doctors, talking to Mark about bringing doctors into the community and different things. I mean, it's a selling feature for our town. You know, there's a all-access park, outdoor gym attached, you know, reasonably close to paths, parking, and everything else. Some of the features of the outdoor gym, just as a quick rundown, I mean, there's, as far as outdoor gyms go, striders, recumbent bike, pull-ups, balance beams, squat decks, like pec decks.
Tech deck. Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
Figure out what
there's a wide range of appeal. We looked into it, so that takes us to the location. So the location of the playground, easily accessible, right on the parking at the school. It's close to the walking path from either side, close to school, close to parking. There is no steps or barriers, as you can see. It will be adjacent to that asphalt pad. The snow removal maintenance will be done by the school. Now, some of the other features that will be more long-term and a positive point to the community is the daily cleaning and safety check, because it's associated with the school. Every morning it gets checked, you know, any kind of garbage items and whatnot. Again, like I said, snow removal. There's annual inspections, and with that, a safety check, and then ongoing maintenance and repairs. And that takes us to the cost. So that's where we're at. The playground and gym all together, and this is including the equipment, the tiled surface, the installation by the company, and that's important just to make sure that it's all done properly, safely. The total comes to $530,000. So current funds raised ourselves, just as the committee, is $75,000. We'll get into the details of that on the next slide. Now, what we're looking for is the CFIP grant. It can be up to $125,000, but that grant requires matching funds placed, as well as basically 50% of your project costs in hand, or a commitment letter. So roughly $265,000 we'll have to have committed to or in hand. Some of the other grants we're looking at are Canada Post, applying for the Agri-Spirit grant. We're going to be reaching out to the Drayton Valley Community Foundation, officially or formally. We have already, but not like this. The Rotary Club, the county, of course, we have a presentation to their council on the 1st of December, and of course to yourselves. So we're looking for this part from the town. $100,000 is our ask.
Okay, so as you can see, the fundraisers, I mean, we've done some really kind of neat ones, magic show, carrot fundraiser, bracelet sales. The kids have taken care of a few of these things. Kids have really gotten involved, and a lot of these are actually voluntarily done by the children, because it's nice that they see a need in our community and are willing to support. And, you know, maybe the $100, every bit counts, don't get me wrong, but it might not do a lot, but just the fact that they're expending their energy, realizing that, you know, there is a need for this in our community is just so great to see for us.
Yeah, it's one of those pride and ownership in the park. You know, they're watching, they're taking care of it. We also have some upcoming fundraisers.
For sure. So we're not going to continue fundraising just because we're asking for funds now. We're going to continue on. We are going to build this park. We'd like to see it in ground by spring of 2016. So we're going to do some things like Yuck Yucks, you all come out. Some Home Hardware, we're going to partner with Home Hardware for a barbecue. The kids, again, grade 6s are going to run a movie night, some stuff like that. So there we go. We are all done. We just want to thank you so much for taking the time to share our vision of accessibility for all abilities.
Thank you both. Wonderful presentation, a clear request. Our administration will review it. We'll discuss it. We are, of course, in our budget discussions of late, and that'll continue for the next little while. You've been busy, and you're to be commended
Right, yeah.
for the work that you've done.
Yeah.
So, questions, Councillor Fredrickson?
Thanks for the presentation. I'm just wondering, is there an opportunity, and perhaps if administration is following up with you guys on this, is there an opportunity to break out the cost of the outdoor gym versus the playground itself? I'm not sure.
I think there would be, but I think we're really just trying to group the project because we want to see the whole project occur. Just like I said, we're really trying to just promote this project within the community. So rather than breaking it up, our goal right now is to just keep it grouped as is. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Nadeau.
Hi. I just wanted to thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. It's perfectly timed because, you know, we are doing budget and it is our overview as we went line by line on Monday. But I think there's an opportunity. I can't commit to anything, nor can any of us, but I think there's an opportunity on where we can move forward. And I appreciate so much that you've looked at the entire community as holistically as much as you can, and I think that leverages you well in the future for potential funds. So
Very good. Thank you.
I think you've done a very good job.
Thanks.
Actually, even today, the bullying week and whatnot.
Oh, I know.
The inclusivity of the park that was the whole point. Like,
Yeah.
Could have replaced with something
everyone.
standard,
Yeah.
but.
Very good.
Councillor Frederickson?
Sorry, just one other question too. I was going to make a comment. I used to play on that old
We know.
playground. I have a picture in front of that old
Not
playground.
Park, yeah, no, just the park, yeah. Okay.
My question is that park going to stay then? Because that one is still
So
to
that one
code.
is also, I believe, getting to be 15 to 20 years
I
old,
think it's 20.
But we're going to allow it to stay, I think, as long as it meets safety standards, for sure, like, yeah.
Yeah, and talking to Jamie with the school, like, that's the thing, is every year regulations sort of get modified or changed slightly, so they're, as long as it's still safe, and I mean, to be honest, it's in decent shape, it's just,
Yeah.
it's not big enough. So we're trying to move forward and still keep it as long as possible.
Yeah.
That's not the one you played on. Really?
They're both, yeah. The wood one.
I tell the kids about the tires.
The
Don't go in
tires,
the
yes,
tires.
yes.
Don't
Okay, yeah.
It's vintage.
Yeah.
Mr. Nadeau?
Just looking at what you are trying to do and looking at your sponsor list, I was wondering if you thought about Alberta Blue Cross. They have a grant funding program for up to $50,000 for exactly what you are trying to achieve.
Absolutely. This isn't
So-
limited to all the grants we've looked into, but
Okay.
I think we've also looked into that one. We
Good.
just named some of the, I think, the ones we're working on at the moment. So the ones we're working on at the moment, we have a grant writing committee, and we also have our out in the community committee. We're here. Anyway, but yeah, definitely, but yes, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
All right. 6.4, Staff Sergeant Calahoo, September and October RCMP statistics. Do you have a slideshow or
I have no slideshow, unfortunately.
anything with children?
But what I do
Because-
have is, it's interesting talking about that. I remember thinking about playgrounds and how I used to have to pick the slivers out of my hands because of the woodlands too, so. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit, before I get into the actual statistics for the month, I just kind of wanted to bring the council up to speed on some of the new members in our office. We do have some new members that are coming and some that are leaving or have left already. I can tell you that Constable Granger, Andrew Granger, he was promoted to corporal, and he is now the Northern Alberta Livestock Investigator. So he does all the livestock investigations for Northern Alberta, north of Red Deer. So that's good news for him. Constable Ferry, Dan Ferry, has moved on to Red Deer City Detachment. So in turn, we've received and are receiving new members. We just received a new member. His name is Constable Charles Greenhall. Just finished a tour in Ottawa doing Parliamentary Hill Protection, and now he's here at the detachment. And in January, we're going to be receiving another replacement. That would be Constable Stephen Logan, and he's coming in January. So we're looking forward to having him and, again, training him up to help serve the community. Some other things on our administration side, we've hired a new public servant. Danette O'Mana had left to go to another district, and so now we have Angie Spence won that competition and is now working at the detachment. And we have 2 other candidates, a municipal employee and another public servant position that we're just doing the security clearances on. So once I have more information on that, I'll be able to forward that for you guys. So you have that as well. I just also wanted to mention before I get into it as well, 2 days from now, Friday, is going to be the Breakfast for the Guys get together. I'll let you know I'm very much in support of the program against domestic violence. Of course, being in the role that I'm in, I would say that's fairly certain. But again, I also have been part of this when I was in Lethbridge. I went to two of those presentations as a show of support, and it's very interesting and educational time. So look forward to hopefully seeing everyone there. So with that, I'm going to get into and I'm going to kind of do some side-by-side comparisons, because one of the things here that I was looking at mainly, well, I'll get into it in a minute, of course, but our assaults in September, I'll use page 1 versus October. Our assaults as of this year are at 82, and in October they went up to 89, so there's 7 incident difference there. I do want you to take a look, though, at our 5-year rates, and one of the things that I want you to notice here is that this is now the lowest amount of assaults we've had in the past 5 years. So that's some good news to look forward to. The other thing too, again, if you go down to our theft of motor vehicle, in September we were at 47, and in October we were at 56, but again, looking at our 5-year rates, they are some of the lowest numbers we've seen in the past 5 years. One of the things that I'm looking at and attributing that to mainly is with regards to our prolific offender checks that we've been doing. One thing I do want to let you know, this past weekend, we arrested one of our prolific offenders after months of surveillance and building warrants to get into a property. That person has been found with a number of weapons, including prohibited weapons and a fully loaded handgun, involved in a drug trade. This is now the 4th handgun we've taken off of drug dealers in the past 2 months. So it's working. We're starting to go after these guys, taking the game to them. So we're trying to keep the pressure on with them to make this a not hospitable place to be. So just wanted to point that out. So very looking forward to continued success in that area. Page 2, with regards to our provincial stats, something that I wanted to center on was our false alarms on our municipal bylaws. 251 we're sitting at in September, and then in October we're at 280. Since the false alarm bylaws come into effect, we have started to lay some charges in that area. The issue that we're running across is, first of all, talking to the members and some of the buy-in they have with regards to it, the difference between prosecuting versus persecuting. When I had that issue brought up to me, I went to some of our local business owners and I asked them what are the challenges that they're facing with regards to false alarms. One of the main features that they have a real problem with, even after repeated times of telling the alarm companies to not call us first, is that usually we are the first ones to dispatch, regardless of the instructions that are being given. So there is a problem on the company side with that. So I can't exactly lay some of the blame on what's going on with the property owners or the business owners themselves. The second issue we're running across is not having up-to-date phone numbers or contact numbers for these people. So what happens is that we're also having to then pass on these files to our next day shift to try and follow up with them to see exactly what happened there and trying to gather that. So I've been trying to think about solutions to how we can work this, and I'm just going to pose something as a possibility to consider is our alarm companies being registered with the town. Something that just, it's something, again, to be brought up, I think, at a later date, but it will allow the companies that are registered with the town to understand what the expectations are with regards to alarms being set up in the town, as well as, you know, if there is some sort of caveat with regards to keeping numbers up to date. So that way, at least we would have a comprehensive list in order to find out if it's a false alarm before we have to go, because it is draining a lot of our resources. Again, that's between the 2 months, that's at least a call a day. And not to say that it takes an intensive amount, but the fact of going out to the call, checking the property, trying to get a hold of the property owner, and then writing up the file afterwards, you're looking at least an hour's time, manpower time. And so it does, and that's if it's within the town, not saying that's anything that's outside. So just something to consider. But again, one of the challenges that I'm starting to see now that we have this bylaw in place. So with that, the only other thing I wanted to focus on very quickly was I noticed in our October stats, if you go to the back page, it has all of the different things, and it shows whether or not we have anything that's within, if everything's within norm or not. Spousal abuse in October showed that it was an issue. By that there's quite a bit of, or that it would normally trigger an increase of some sort. So I pulled, for each month, I pulled our stats directly from our systems, and I took a look at what we had for these types of calls. In September, we had a total of 12 calls in September, and we had 10 calls in October. In September, of those calls, 2 calls were domestic charges, domestic-related incidents where charges were laid. 2 of those were assault with weapons charges, and again, charges were laid on those as well. In total, there was 4 assault charges, that in total 2 of those being domestics. 3 were unfounded, which basically means that they didn't meet the criteria for a charge to be laid, or were false in nature and weren't. And 3 of them were, there was grounds to lay, but the fact is that the complainant didn't want to proceed with the charge. In October, we had 10 calls. 4 of those were domestic-related incidents where charges were laid. 3 were unfounded, and again, 3 were declined charges. So I guess on a whole, I'm trying to pick out, because the actual stats themselves say that we have a fairly large increase. Now, by that, going back to October, if you go down to the survey code where it says spousal abuse, it says we're at 150. That's a 17 file increase from last month. So I only count 10, so I'm trying to figure out exactly where we're having the disconnect. So I guess it's just to say that that's why, kind of why when I see these issues, I dig into them a little more to kind of let you guys know what the actual numbers as according to what I'm actually pulling out are. So I'll have to investigate further on that. But besides that, normally everything else is more or less on par, but we do want to, something that I've noted in recent days talking to people on the street is, again, that hesitation to contact the police. They think that people think that their problem is so minor that they don't want to contact them. There was an incident a number of days ago. There was a number of vehicles that were egged in the community. I spoke with one person, and they said, you know, I don't know who it was. And I said, but you still need to make the report. And I said, the reason why is because if we can find out the areas that these hotspots are happening, we can start to direct our resources towards it, but we need everyone to report. So again, and for the saying it for the minutes in particular, it's just, I can't stress enough how much we need the public to report the things that are going on there in their community. If they see stuff that's happening with houses, traffic back and forth, property crime and drugs are hand in hand. They, you know, again, the weapons charges we have against this prolific offender, I have no doubt that they're going to be used to load up for drugs and then sell them to people in the community. So again, it's one begets another, so we have to keep on top of both in order to suppress that crime and to keep on top of these prolific offenders. But with that, I think I'm pretty much done if anyone has questions.
Well, thanks very much, particularly for the update on some recent enforcement activities. And with respect to the new members arriving at the detachment, welcome to all of them on behalf of council, and to those who are moving on to other detachments or other postings. We thank them for their service and wish them well.
Yes. I did forget to mention Corporal Lou as well. He received a promotion just recently. He hasn't left our office yet, but he's in the process of, in the next couple of months as well. He had a promotion to K Division as our new diversity sergeant for the district, or for the whole division, so he'll be dealing with issues on that as well. So.
Well, congratulations to him as well.
Yes.
The K Division's gain is our loss. Isn't that the way it usually works?
It is, unfortunately. That's how it is, but yes.
Yeah. Well, all the best to him. Questions, comments? Councillor Bossert.
Good morning, Staff Sergeant. Thanks for all the stats. There is a lot of information there that helps us see trends in our community, and I think that's important for us to have as information. I wanted to speak to you about your comment about encouraging community members to contact the RCMP when they see, hear, or experience concerns in the community. I agree that we need to do that. I myself have contacted the RCMP recently concerning an erratic driver on the highway that was very scary. Contacted the detachment and was told I would have follow-up contact with an officer. That did not occur. This was October 26th. And this past weekend, my daughter also had occasion to call into the detachment concerning a fire underneath the old bridge that looked like it could have been quite a concern. She's not had any follow-up. So I appreciate that you want citizens to call in when we have concerns.
Right.
I have had a number of people say, when we call into the cops, we don't get any call back. We don't know whether they followed up. We don't know what's happened. We don't know what the end result was. So I'm just passing on from my own personal experience and from comments I've heard in the public that there isn't a lot of follow-up after call-ins have occurred.
And you know what, I appreciate that. I think that that's something to bring up with the membership. We did have a meeting this past Friday to go over some of our service delivery issues that I've been noting. Not to say that it's anything huge on our part, but the fact is that, again, this is certainly important. You know, normal practice is, unless of course it's like 3 in the morning where we're going to wake someone up at 4 o'clock, unless it's a serious issue. Normally we wouldn't do that, but yeah, normal practice is that we should be contacting our complainants afterwards to let them know what happens. So certainly I will bring that to the attention of everybody, including my supervisors, to make sure that that's being done more regularly if it's not happening. No problem.
Anything further? Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. I was just wondering if maybe we could do some kind of a brainstorm with a mini list of things that people would say are typically minor, that they wouldn't call in about. Because my vehicle got egged and I didn't even think about it.
But that's the thing, right, is that,
So, yeah.
again, that's something that, and when I found out, I talked to, like, I was just, you know, I brought a vehicle in for a wash, and the car wash owner said, yeah, we'd had like eight people through already.
Yeah.
And that was my first notification of any sort.
Yeah.
Until I started to talk to my members. Yeah, we had this call, and so I don't think we've had a full list of everyone that's actually been hit or otherwise. Yeah. But again, property crime, you know, someone may have seen someone out, someone may have, you know, it could be, and I'm just putting out a hypothesis, not to say it's someone that was buying a whole bunch of eggs at the store like 20 minutes beforehand, and then we can go get the video and see who that was, and then talk to them. So, I mean, it's again about that kind of follow-up that I'd like to see.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying there's things like, or even if you lose your purse, you know, they say you should phone it if you lose your purse. Even if you find it, you can call back and say, I found it later, but just in case. Those things people don't think about. It would be nice if we could have a little list we could post and say, hey, if any of these happened to you, you should be phoning in to help you guys promote it as well. That's all.
So again, I guess that was the message I'd leave everyone with. So
All right.
with that,
Anything further? No. Thank you very much.
thank you. Have a good day.
You too. All right, item 7.0, public time. Any comments from the public? Questions, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call a break. All right, welcome back. 8.0, decision items. 8.2, Councillor Frederickson, proposed bylaw 2015-11F.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is for the Fortis Alberta Electrical Distribution System Franchise Agreement. The background is as follows. The existing 10-year franchise agreement bylaw 2006-35-F to allow Fortis Alberta exclusive right to deliver electricity within the town of Drayton Valley is set to expire December 31st, 2016. In 2012, the Alberta Utilities Commission, AUC, gave approval for Fortis Alberta to apply a new franchise agreement template. This template was negotiated and approved by AUMA. Fortis Alberta now wishes to renew their agreement with the town of Drayton Valley using the new template. Administration has reviewed the agreement and recommends its approval to replace a previous agreement for a 10-year term with options to extend for up to 2 5-increments with an increase in the franchise fee from 8% to 10%. Administration recommends increasing the franchise fee from 8% to 10%. The additional fees to provide funding to support clean energy initiatives in the Community Sustainability Plan. The proposal has passed first reading, and the increase was advertised for 2 weeks in the Western Review, receiving no negative feedback. Therefore, I move that Council give second reading to Fortis Electrical Distribution System Franchise Agreement Bylaw 2015-11-F, which authorizes the new franchise agreement with Fortis Alberta with a franchise fee rate of 10%.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on this motion? No? All in favor? That is carried. Councillor Frederickson.
I move Council give third reading to Fortis Electrical Distribution System Franchise Agreement Bylaw 2015-11-F, which authorizes the new franchise agreement with Fortis Alberta with a franchise fee rate of 10%.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? Third and final reading? No? All right. All in favor? That is carried. Councillor Frederickson.
I move Council approve the termination and acknowledgement agreement between the Town of Drayton Valley and Fortis Alberta Incorporated as attached.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? This, of course, is necessary to terminate the old agreement for the new one can come into effect, and if it receives passage, then the new agreement will come into effect January 1st, 2016. No discussion, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We are 8.3, Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor. Town Council received a letter from Brazeau Gymnastics, a nonprofit society operating out of a leased facility in Brazeau County. With approximately 200 gymnasts enrolled, the club offers programming for youth in both artistic and rhythmic gymnastics. The club has indicated that in making the move to its new facility, it has encountered unexpected expenses. The club is asking the Town Council for financial assistance in the amount of $880 to cover the projected annual amount of the club's water and sewer charges. The leased facility is hooked up to the town's water and sewer system. While the town has a community events grant to support nonprofit organizations, there are no remaining funds available to allocate this year. Additionally, the request does not meet those eligibility requirements or guidelines. So there are two options before me. One is that the town approve financial assistance, and the other one that the Town Council decline their request. The motion I will be making is that Town Council decline the request from Brazeau Gymnastics for financial assistance.
Very well. Thank you very much. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you, Councillor Nadeau. Yes, this request had come forward to me via phone call, and I had instructed the Brazeau Gymnastics group to submit a letter. And in conversation with this, to my understanding, if we do say yes to this, it would be creating that slippery slope in terms of, because this is not for an actual event, it has to do with utility costs. And to my understanding, there are other groups within the community who do utilize private areas that do incur utility costs. So I am in support of your motion.
Thank you. Councillor Nadeau?
Thank you. Yes, I would agree, and that's why I made the motion that I did. Unfortunately, it would help with the additional operating funds of, and then any other user group essentially could be asking that is within town facility, or not any leased facility within. It's unfortunate, but I would request that administration work, so I would assume that would be Teresa, as Annette's not here, would work with Brazeau Gymnastics to look at maybe a partnership with local Canadian Tire, as they do participate in the local Jumpstart program, because I know some of the previous requests, although this one is specific to utilities, previous requests have been uniforms and such. So they would absolutely be able to look at partnerships there that would help alleviate some of those costs. And I would encourage maybe administration to look at where we could support in that process. If it's a letter of support for that, for a local club, then I would be in favor of that. But at this time, I can't approve that.
I'll go to Councillor Wheeler and then Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you. I think this is a very tough one. When you look at the numbers, you're talking about $800 to keep 200 kids in a gymnastics club. I don't think it's a lot of money, and I understand the slope and the scope, and it could be anything with any project coming forward, and I agree and I get that. I just think that I really hope there's something else we can look at or do or help them, even with a sponsorship package they could be looking at to get that funding, just because these are programs we talk about wanting in our community, and there are new costs when you start up a business, and we get that, and maybe they need a bit of help with that as well, making sure they have all their bases covered. But I would also need more information to make a decision better on this in terms of what they're planning to do for next year, so this doesn't happen again. I just want to make sure they get that help too.
Very good comment. Councillor Frederickson.
Looking at this, I believe this was for projected utility costs. And that being said, going off of what Councillor Nadeau had said, even with regards to event grants, speaking with the representative from the Brazeau Gymnastics Club, they do internal events, and they do, I forget the event that she was just talking about, but there was one where there are other club members that do come. So whether that means then them applying for an event grant to offset some of those extra costs, that they would be able to put that money into operations, and perhaps the support could come through events. That would be something of planning for them for next year.
Right. So anything further here? Oh, Councillor Nadeau.
I'm just wondering if maybe, Teresa, when you're speaking with them, if we could advise them about the FCSS grant writing course that is available. That would be an excellent opportunity for them and their members to really gain that further support and knowing what grants are available both locally and provincially that they could apply for. So it's an excellent course.
All right. I think what we've seen here is a desire to, in some way, ensure the success of this worthwhile activity and endeavor in the community. But it is, as has been stated to my mind, would be precedent-setting to help fund operations of an organization, which is something that municipalities, or our municipality, tends not to be involved in. At least not in this particular way. So the suggestions that have come forward, I think, are good, well-founded, and could be helpful for this organization and others. So with that, if there are no further questions or comments, I'll call the question on Councillor Nato's motion. All in favor of her motion? Opposed? Carried? Thank you. All right. Item 8.4, Councillor Long.
Thank you. On December 11th, 2015, the Town of Drayton Valley and community volunteers will host Fired Up for the Holidays. In hosting the event, 50 to 80 young people aged 13 to 17 can participate in activities free of charge. The Fired Up for the Holidays event provides a unique event combining arts, physical activity and socialization in an outdoor setting. The following services are planned for this year. Busing to and from the site, campfire, refreshments to cook over the campfire, glow-in-the-dark capture the flag, snowshoeing and graffiti art. The town's insurer has indicated that activities or events endorsed by a resolution of council will be recognised as an insured event, thereby minimising the need for special event insurance. Administration is therefore recommending that the Fired Up for the Holidays event be endorsed by Town Council as an insured activity of the municipality. Therefore, that sounds fairly straightforward. I move that Council endorses Fired Up for the Holidays to be covered under the Town of Drayton Valley's general liability insurance.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Nato.
Not the specific insurance part, but I am so excited. I think that's awesome. Councillor Wheeler and I attended the Winter Cities Conference last year, and we were fired up after we came back. And I think it's so important in our winter climate to celebrate winter and get more people outdoors and that socializing, because that isolation happens in the winter. So I'm so excited that administration is moving forward with some of the things we talked about. I'm over the moon excited, and I think it'll be an awesome opportunity for kids in the community over the winter. So good work.
Anything further? Councillor Bossert.
I also echo Councillor Nadeau's comments and wonder if you need adult chaperones, because I would like to go.
We are looking for more chaperones. Anybody that is willing to come out, I will take with open arms.
It does say age 50. Oh, no, sorry, that's not age 50 to 80. That's 50 to 80 youth. Yeah.
We are using the front of the town office for the pickup site. So we do definitely need some older chaperones to do that. We're also bringing some younger chaperones, and we're sort of trying to stay under the age of 30 to just create that mentorship and get the youth to open up. So those people will be actually facilitating the event. And we also have the high schools on board. I'm actually on my way there to talk to them, and I talked to lots of the kids from Aim for Success yesterday. I've received calls from parents that their children are so excited to attend this event, so it's being very well received, and I'm very, very excited about this one.
That's great.
Is there any more questions about the event?
Thank you very much. All right. Anything further? Oh, Councillor Frederickson. Yeah.
Sorry, just one question. Is there a temperature cap on this?
I haven't set one in hopes that there's going to be great weather. We are going to have a campfire, so, and there is a facility there with a heated stove, so we will have that going in case it's too cold. But
Excellent. It promises to be a great event. So with that, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8.5, in Councillor Schuler's absence, I think it was Councillor Bossert? Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. The Town of Drayton Valley has received a generous donation for the Clean Energy Technology Center, the CETC, to install a solar panel electricity system. The donor has requested to remain anonymous and would like to utilize the solar panels to demonstrate educational learning and awareness of alternative energy at the CETC. The donor has provided a letter that they will contribute 50% of the project costs if the town matches the remaining amount. New Energy has worked with the donor on several solar panel electricity systems and has prepared a proposal for the CETC building. By installing solar panels at the CETC, there will be solar power generated that will reduce the CETC's energy usage from the power grid. This is full of tongue twisters. In the event that the system is producing more power than it requires, that the CETC requires, the extra energy will be exported to the utility grid, and the CETC will receive a credit on the utility bill for power or energy exported. As the CETC is a new facility, there is not any historical data available to compare how much energy will be saved based on consumption. However, the CETC will have 112 solar panels installed on the roof that will produce approximately 29,449 kilowatt hours per year, which is equivalent to the amount of power 4 households would utilize. The annual energy savings will be approximately $2,298, and the payback for the system purchase will be approximately 13.3 years. The proposal for New Energy outlines the solar and electricity system will cost $77,228. The donor is able to provide 50% matching funding up to $40,000, and the town is being asked to contribute the remaining funds. The town's contribution will be $40,000, which includes $38,614 and $1,386 towards the project's contingency fund. Therefore, I move that council approve the proposal of New Energy for the Clean Energy Technology Center to have a solar electricity system installed, and for funding for the project will be up to $40,000 from the town's Sustainability Initiative Fund.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bossert. Any questions, comments? Councillor Long and then Frederickson?
Yeah, not a question, just a comment. Since we first began to talk about this project quite a long time ago, we've always, when I say the project, I mean the Clean Energy Centre, we've talked about partnerships with the private sector, so it's very, very nice to see something like this coming forward as we approach opening day, so I'm happy to see this.
Very good. Councillor Frederickson.
My question is, I'm just wondering if, because I believe it says New Energy is that I'm assuming that that's a provider that's been identified. Would going with New Energy conflict with any other solar energy projects that we've been discussing?
Does administration have a comment on in that regard?
Good morning.
Morning.
This company was brought to us by the donor for the project, who has quite a few references for some projects they've actually done in Wetaskiwin. I'm not too sure who the other consultant is on our water treatment plant. I'm not sure if Ron has that information either, but we can look into that and get back to council on it.
It's a different proposal than the one we were looking at for the Omniplex, different outfit.
Councillor Frederickson.
Yeah, and that was just, I guess, I don't want to say it's a concern, that sounds a little bit too much, but that's all I was wondering is by going with one outfit, are we kind of stopping ourselves from being able to package something that we had talked about, packaging our community with other outfits? I think this is a great idea. I'm wondering how to play it, I guess, right? Yeah. So that we're able to package this properly as a community goal going forward, as opposed to just a one entity sort of situation.
I take your point, Councillor Frederickson. I think in this particular instance, this is not intended to be an entirely funded activity on the part of the municipality, in that it was a private donor that brought it to us for consideration, and I think that's where if a one-off treatment, whether this is a company that we deal with in the future on other projects is not, it's, to my mind, completely irrelevant because of the nature of this being brought by an individual donor. Mr. Diven, did you have a comment in this regard?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the question, just as maybe a different perspective. I would actually look at this particular instance as being helpful in a larger discussion with perhaps other vendors and other interested participants, and use that as a demonstrated history of bringing other partnerships to the table, and in some cases some philanthropic type of pursuits in that as well. So maybe perhaps we could view this as a bit of moral suasion with any other potential actors in future attempts, and say we have a track record, a history of looking at it in this vein, and this is something we would like to continue that precedent in any future activities.
Very well put. I'm not sure who was first. Councillor Wheeler?
Is this talking about coming out of 2015 or 2016 budget?
2016.
We're certain? As far as we know? Okay. Councillor Bossert?
Speaking about the budget, I see that the total for the project is $77,000 or thereabouts, but there is a considerable list of items in this proposal that are not included in that price, and I'm concerned that we only have a contingency fund of approximately $1,300 attached to this project, and yet it doesn't cover installation of the electrical work or any supports needing on the roofing profile or any structural modifications. I know that the new building has been built with solar panels in mind, but there's still a lot of work, as in electrical work, that would be required to actually implement solar panels, and that's not part of this costing proposal, so I'm concerned about the budget element there.
For the list that it does not include, the electrical work is actually a minor amount of work that is required, and the costings that we've been provided, it should be well within the contingency fund. It's a really minor amount of electrical that needs to be run, because the other electrical work is all within the installation of the system project.
Anything further on this? All right. Thank you very much, Christina. I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thanks so much. On to item 9.0, the information items. 9.1, Brazeau Seniors Foundation minutes for September 2015. 9.2, Star Catholic Board highlights for October 2015. 9.3, Waste Management Committee meeting minutes of August 2015. 9.4, the Yellowhead Regional Library Board minutes for June 2015. 9.5, the Yellowhead Regional Library Board meeting highlights for November 2015. 9.6, the AUMA conference report of Councillor Long. 9.7, the AUMA letter re-equitable funding from oil and gas revenues. 9.8, September and October RCMP statistics, and 9.9, the September and October fire services statistics. Could I get a motion to receive those items as information, please? Councillor Long, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 10.0, department reports. 10.1, planning and development. Shahid.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Since our last council meeting, October 28th, Planning and Development has approved 5 development permit and 10 business licenses. So 5 development permit includes seek and storage shed, tree removal, installation of signage, single-family dwelling with attached garage, and duplex. So it's an interesting fact to see here. I mean, according to municipal development plan, with the annual growth rate of 1.5%, household size 2.6%, every year we need 38 new houses or apartments. And if you see the current situation so far, with this year, January to end of October, we have 33 new housing start. So it tells us that due to the economic downturn, it didn't affect our housing industry or the pace of development here. So that's an interesting fact I wanted to share with you.
That is an interesting statistic, or interesting information.
And regarding 10 business licenses, 2 are home occupation, 3 are change of ownership, 1 change of name, and 4 new business licenses. With these 4 new business licenses, 2 are from the local residents, and 2 are from the non-resident of Drayton Valley. So if you see, I'm in a 2 home occupation, that's a barber hot towel shave. Number 2 is oil field safety training consultant. And if you see 4 new business licenses, that includes a restaurant, health food store, underground construction, and plumbing. So that's all I have for department report today.
Thank you very much. 10.2, engineering, transportation, sustainability. Ron.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as everybody knows, we had a snowfall yesterday. Started late yesterday afternoon. We had our sanding truck out on the town roads between 5:30 and 10 o'clock last night. It was doing some sanding, but it was very difficult with the high winds and the fresh snow, and the traffic was already starting to grease up the intersections. They also departed this morning at about 4 o'clock and applied sand material to the intersections. And I noticed this morning it seemed fairly good when I was driving to work this morning. So, but I do know it was very icy last night. First snowfall of the year is usually kind of bad. So, and just a note on that is that we have 2 sanding trucks, but we only had 1 equipped, and the reason for that is that we're using the other truck to help build, I guess, complete part of the open space development out by the bus hub. We're hauling material over there. We note that the weather is supposed to be good for the balance of this week and probably into next week, but we will probably over the next week to 10 days, we'll be converting that truck over to sanding duties as well. So make sure we're ready for the next storm. So,
okay, thank you.
I just wanted to give a quick update on the 43rd Avenue. The work is still ongoing, although it's kind of affected by the snow. And we are planning to install a pressure reducing valve on the east side of Range Road 73 this fall, before we close up for winter. And as I mentioned with the open space development, we're deploying town resources where we can to save money. We're going to be hauling about 40 loads of gravel into the trail system in that park, and the contractor Parkway will be smoothing out the berms and tying them into the trails, and doing seeding before, before he shuts down for the winter kind of thing. And then next year we have a tender out as we speak to do the final finishing of the park next year, and that'll be with people that do landscaping for a living sort of thing, and they'll be doing the fine surfacing of the berms, planting of vegetation and trees, and some park furniture, and completing the lighting and so forth next year.
When you refer to the lighting, is there lighting along the pathways?
Yeah, we're going to, at a minimum right now, we're going to be installing the conduit for it, and we're going to evaluate what lighting we need for the pathways. But the intent is to put lighting in the pathways, yeah, good. As well as around the rink area.
Good stuff.
And the CETC, the work on the land development there is pretty well complete for this year. There's the odd minor thing being done, but we have the paving and the sidewalk and access constructed into the CETC. On the sustainability, well, maybe, well, you'll be referring to some issues with respect to the sustainability, perhaps, will you, Deb, or? Maybe we'll leave that, any comments about that to later. Okay.
All right.
That would be it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to skip to 10.4 because Ms. Dreesen is not present today. Emergency Services. Chief Thompson.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. If I could direct Council's attention to page 123 to 126, the fire stats for the month of September and October. I'll give you the details of those calls. So during the month of September, we responded to 24 incidents, 4 of which were fire calls, 3 involved vehicles, and one of them was industrial structure fire. Unfortunately, we were able to save the structure, so that was good news for the company, especially during the economic downturn that we've had recently. We had 2 rubbish and grass fires. Both of them were relatively minor incidents. We responded to 4 motor vehicle collisions, 2 single vehicle rollovers with minor injuries, 1 3-vehicle collision at the intersection of Highway 22 and Township 484, and we also had another one, a 2-vehicle motor vehicle collision at the Scotties intersection, all with minor injuries. We were also busy responding to 2 rescue calls. One of them involved a bike collision at the DV 100 bike race. We had a serious incident in which the individual was airlifted by STARS to a hospital in the city. We also had another incident in which an individual was trapped underneath a vehicle. Unfortunately, we had a positive outcome at the end of that one as well. In regards to alarm calls, we had 9. 3 of them were business calls, including 1 at the local pool, 4 residential false alarms, 1 false alarm at the Shangri-La Lodge, as well as an alarm going off at one of our local apartment buildings. In terms of miscellaneous calls, we had 3 of them. One was an assist to EMS with a pedestrian that was hit by a vehicle by the Best Western Hotel. We also had a boiler rupture at the Omniplex, which was the second time we've responded to that in a similar incident. We also had an EMS assist with a suicidal patient as well, which brought us to a total of 24 for the month of September. Moving on to the month of October, we were a little bit busier. We had 28 calls, 4 of which were fire, which included 1 power pole on fire, a mobile home fire in the town, which pretty much gutted the inside of the home. We also had a kitchen fire. In particular, it was contained to the stove, and we had a landfill fire, which we spent a considerable amount of time out there trying to extinguish. We also had 4 rubbish and grass fires. 3 of them were relatively small. 1 of them was a result of an individual burning garbage, so that person has been dealt with and fined accordingly. In regards to motor vehicle collisions, again, we had 5. 1 3-vehicle motor vehicle collision at the intersection of Highway 22 and 39. Fortunately, there was a lot of damage to the vehicles, but no serious injuries. We had 3 2-vehicle motor vehicle collisions. One was involved a hit and run in town. The other 2, another one was a rear end collision, and the final one was a minor collision, which involved no serious injuries to anybody. And the last one, in regards to motor vehicle collisions, was a vehicle versus a pedestrian. Unfortunately, that was a fatality on the local highway near us. In regards to alarm calls, we responded to 10 for the month of October. 9 of them were residential. 1 of them was a business, and it was a repeat offender, so that individual has been or that company has been fined accordingly. In terms of miscellaneous calls, we had 5. One involved Stars Landing, one chlorine leak at the pool. We had a fuel leak at one of the local trailer parks, which involved a major cleanup. We had a vandal that was puncturing gas tanks and allowing the fuel to run all over the place. So we had several vehicles hit in that particular area that required us to respond and clean up the mess. We also had 2 assists with EMS in terms of patient care. Both of those were lift and assist cases. So that took us to a total of 28 for the month of October. Also in the month of October, as council is aware, we had our fire prevention month. Most communities do a fire prevention week. We do a fire prevention month. It was extremely successful. I know it was successful because my staff were exhausted by the time we got to the end of October. Just to highlight a few of the things, our school program was a huge success this year. We managed to make contact with roughly 500 kids from grades 1 to through to 10, so that was very successful. We also started a new program with the grade 10 program, which was called Distracted Texting and Walking. It is becoming a huge issue in major cities, and it is also becoming a problem here. We've had a couple incidents where people have been hit stepping off curbs because they're not paying attention to what they're doing. It's gotten so bad, the City of London has actually put up foam pads around their street signs because people keep walking into them and sustaining serious injuries. If you go to YouTube, you'll see several people falling into pools and into running into posts and all kinds of stuff. So it is a serious issue. When we presented it to the grade 10s, we just put out the general question, how many of you have run into something while you're texting? I think in one of the classes, every person except for the teacher put up their hands. So it tells you. And in fact, one of the students had a broken arm because he was skateboarding while texting and ran into something. So he ended up with a broken arm. So it was very relevant to what we were talking about. We also had around 300 posters come in for our annual poster contest, which again was a huge success. We started a new program this year which was called Fire Chief for the Evening, in which we had 6 kids from grades 4 to 6 come and spend a night with us at the fire department. They were treated to all kinds of fun activities. We did several firefighter skills, so they learned some firefighting skills. Little did they realize that they would require those skills later on in the evening. We then went out for supper with the kids. We had a wiener roast out on the pad out in front of the fire hall, so that was a unique experience. We then pitched tents in the fire hall, and the kids slept on cots in the tents in the fire hall. Little did they know at later on in the evening, once they got settled and asleep, we had a fire call, and so the kids had to get up, get dressed, get on the fire truck. We took them down to the Omniplex where we had a mock fire, which was an actual fire, but it was controlled fire, and they had to put it out, and then they climbed back in the truck and went home and went to bed. So they were pretty tired by the morning by the time they got up. I'd just like to thank McDonald's who sponsored the breakfast for the kids in the morning, so I greatly appreciate that. In terms of adults, we did several programs as well. Again, we had our annual Boston Pizza delivery program. We had 4 trucks that were out delivering pizza, so again, it was well received by the community, and it was a huge success. We went to 4 seniors facilities and did safety talks with all of them. They enjoyed our time there. We were able to hand out firefighter playing cards, so they appreciated that. As well, we gave them a book about fire safety, so they were thrilled when we left. We also participated in 4 open houses. One was the Canadian Tire Kickoff campaign. We had one in Lodgepole, one in Breton, And we also did one here in Drayton Valley. We saw over 400 people attend the one here in Drayton, so it was very well received by the community. It was nice that it was a nice evening, which probably added to the numbers, but it was nice that our community supports what we're doing. We also worked with our Junior A Thunder hockey team this year and did our second annual T-shirt toss and fire prevention program. And again, I'd like to thank ATCO Gas who sponsored the event. That's muchly appreciated when our business community supports these types of programs. We also continued on with our Mary Poppins chimney program, cleaning fireplaces for our community. The chimney sweep company was here for 2.5 days, going to different residents and doing their thing to keep our community safe. So it has been a bit of a challenge. Our members are exhausted. I want to thank them for their continued support in these programs. Without buy-in from my members, these types of things wouldn't be possible. So I really want to thank them, especially the volunteer staff that come day after day to support these types of programs. So and that's it. That's the end of my report. Any questions, Council?
A fulsome report. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? All right, we'll get into 10.5, Administration, Legislative Services. Chandra, anything? Nope. Economic Development, Eric.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on a few key events that we've had since the last time we connected here. The first was a meeting of the Chamber of Commerce. So what we've kicked off a three-pronged process by working with our friends from Alberta Culture and Tourism who are coming to facilitate the strategic planning process. So the first session was focused on bringing together the business community to talk about the state of the Chamber today and kind of some of the things that have led to where it is today and just start to scratch the surface on the value of chambers of commerce more generally. So it was a great session facilitated by the province. We also had a representative from the Alberta Chamber of Commerce Federation. So they were able to provide some really good perspective from chambers across the province and some best practices and examples. So we had about 16 members come out for that session, and I think there was a lot of energy in the room and a lot of really good discussion, really honest assessment of where things are today. And that, I think, lays the groundwork for building moving forward. So the next session, the next piece of that puzzle is going to be looking at the values of the chamber. And in order to get there, the people who are in attendance are really reaching out to a broader group of people, those that have been involved with the chamber for many years, those that have never been involved with the chamber, and everyone in between. And so it'll be really important to get those people to come out and take ownership of the chamber. So instead of coming out and asking the question, so what does the chamber do? Right? They have to ask that themselves and say, I think the chamber could do this, right? And so, because if people are always asking the next person, right, they're just wondering and they expect somebody else to have the answers. And where we are right now is in an exploratory phase where people have the opportunity to start putting forward ideas. And that's being supported by, again, the province. And you know, I'm certainly involved trying to provide some advice, but also the Alberta Chamber of Commerce. The third step will be once they have identified some of the key value statements and who is going to be involved in that, then we're going to do a third piece, which is the strategic planning. So really excited about it. There was a lot of good energy in the room, and I think that we're going to see some progress being made in that area. Secondly, we had a public open house for economic development action plan that we're doing, and we had high quality input, but we didn't have a lot of quantity. So we're going to be exploring how we reach out to the community more. What we've really focused on is this is the beginning of the discussion, right? For people to want to come and talk to us about economic development, we need to give them an understanding of what we're talking about when we say economic development. And so I think that's really my job, is to really get people better understanding what the dynamics of economic development are in really practical terms, so that when we pull together meetings of the community, people are excited. They come with ideas, they come with questions and so forth. Now, we did have a few people, and it was really encouraging to see. The third thing I wanted to highlight was we had a tour yesterday of the BioMile, where we had 5 folks from the new Economic Development and Trade Ministry of the province come out and tour 2 key facilities. They toured Weyerhaeuser, and Weyerhaeuser was great. The manager gave us a tour, gave us a really good understanding of of not only their operations, but some of the key economic dynamics that they're working with right now. But also we had a tour of the DH Manufacturing, the fiber mat plant. And the things that they're doing there are just tremendous, like huge success in the BioMile, and just an unbelievable amount of potential there. So to have folks from the province, we also had a representative from the National Research Council come, whose job it is to support small and medium-sized enterprises in doing research and accelerating. And they have some resources to support those businesses. So what we've done is try to pull people in, get them to see with their own eyes what the opportunities are, and they're really excited. So we're going to be looking at building a business case for investment into the BioMile with the support of experts from investment, entrepreneurship and regional development, renewable energy, and international trade. So it's going to be exciting to see what we can come up with in the coming months.
Very good. Thank you. And although I was able to pop in and say hello to the group yesterday, I wasn't able to spend too much time because of a conflicting appointment. But at the end of our respective meetings, I did touch base with a couple of the people in attendance, and I echo your comments. A lot of enthusiasm and interest in the BioMile and creating some opportunities there. So good work. Thank you. Any questions, comments? No? All right. Following that, communications and marketing, Tyler Russell.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I think my report will be a little bit longer than what we had last time, which was very speedily done. Right now, we're talking about the app, downloads of our app for this month, and I love the fact that we're able to actually do the downloads per month now, which I absolutely love. We have 11 downloads on iTunes, 2 on Google Play, which is another 13 since the last council meeting that we ended up having. Our total right now, we're getting so close to that 1,000 number. We're at 901 total downloads. What's also very encouraging is that people are actually using the app, which is even better. We have 1,149 updates of it, which means that people are actually using it for the function that it's designed for, to be able to get information, which is very encouraging, and we're keeping it plugging as much as we possibly can. Also, we're looking to be able to finally be able to launch our new front page of our website. There were some problems and it looked scary, and now we're going to be able to actually have a new outline of our front page of our website, which will make it more functional and more easy to be able to use. I've seen a draft of it, and if it does everything that it shows that it needs to do, it's going to be absolutely great and very manageable for our community to be able to find that information quite easily. And finally, we of course have our branding project that's also out there. I'm really excited. We're on to our second stage, which of course I know some of the council will be here and some won't be here. The invite is out there next week, Wednesday, November the 25th from 6 to 9, and also November the 26th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I've been out in the community talking to people personally. They really appreciate the personal touch that we are doing with this branding project to be able to be a part of it, and it's very encouraging. I know there's even some businesses in Drake Valley that have even done their own branding projects in the last 2 to 3 months, and we've been able to procure them to come out and be a part of it, which I really am very encouraged about. We're excited to be able to go and see that next week.
Very good. Any questions, comments? Excellent. Thank you. Information services, Mr. Nadeau.
Just two things to report, Mr. Mayor. We had an interactive session or a video conference with IBM and some folks from TELUS on the city dashboard, where they gave us a live demonstration of what it does and how it works. So there were administration and council members were there. I know it was unfortunate that you had another engagement, but hopefully we'll have another one and you'll be able to be a part of that. And then, of course, was my visit to the Alternative Energy Center at NATE. A very interesting department. The footprint of the department is really small, but they go all the way from geothermal to algae production in a space that's no bigger than 2 double garages in size. So very interesting work that is being performed there, which we can latch on to in terms of the CETC. And that's my report.
Very good, thank you. Next up, we have our CAO report. As I mentioned earlier, we have a new CAO by the name of Dwight Dibben, who's recently joined us. He's going to, I guess, give his report on the first 3 intensive days on the job. And I have to apologize because his name is not appropriately reflected on the agenda, and I ought to have caught that in my review earlier. So.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I actually was going to comment. I thought that was awfully prudent of Council to do so, just in case the first 4 days were not what you expected. It's always prudent to leave a little bit of an escape clause, so very prudent indeed. Probably a little bit of an atypical report for me, just one item of business. First of all, on 8.5 on your agenda, I can confirm that the plan for the matching monies for the solar panels on CETC was planned for next year's envelope. We do have some room in that envelope right now. I don't believe it's $40,000 worth, but we will take a look to see if we can stage it appropriately to maximize the monies that have been intended for those purposes in this fiscal year, and possibly then preserve some more flexibility for council for next year's budget. So we'll look at that over the next number of weeks and then see what kind of planning we can do with the proponents and with CETC on that. Really, the bulk of my report, I wanted to actually just share some thank yous. So first of all, foremost, thank you to Council, first for the opportunity to serve. I'm both honored and humbled, but also in these first few days, thank you for your kind words, your encouragement, the wry smiles as you walk by my office and see me probably, like with that wide-eyed look of, oh my, what have I done? But I very much have enjoyed the first period of time and the initial days of working with all of you. The second thank you actually is to the staff of Drayton Valley. I have not yet had the chance to meet directly with all of them. I have endeavored to track down as many of them as I can find, in and out of different gatherings. But without exception, what has been my first impressions is the enormous pride they take in their work, only possibly supplanted by the pride in their community. And with that, one cannot ask for a better foundation from which to work cooperatively going forward and keeping the eyes on what we're all here for, and that is a prosperous and diverse community going forward, not just in the now. And the last is thank you to those in the community, those that I've been able to meet thus far, those that have taken the opportunity to stop me on the street, come by. There's a few things I'm not used to. One was this morning listening to the radio, and the lead story on the 8 o'clock news was, I think, after months of searching, a new CAO has been found, and my name being said. That was, first of all, I was shocked that, that was on the news, and even the lead story, even ahead of the Premier of Saskatchewan and concerns about a refugee program, so that, quite atypical to me. But people waving on the street, smiling, I don't know who to thank for, obviously, the community advisory that went through saying there's a newbie in town, don't worry, he stands out, you'll know who he is, and try not to hit him. But so far, just incredible warmth and offers of support in any way that I or my family might need, and that's meant the world to me already. So just with that, I'm incredibly excited to be here to work with all of you, with the town staff, and the larger and broader community, and thank you very much.
And just to reiterate what we've said the last couple of days, welcome. And you've jumped in the deep end because we are in the middle of the budget process and, of course, a number of other things going on. So we appreciate the advice and leadership you've demonstrated to date. We will move on now to council reports. 11.2, Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. In terms of sustainability, the one thing I did want to bring forward from our committee was that Danette did send out an email to all councillors just requesting that for any of the committees you're on as a councillor, if you could check with them if they have any open positions. We want to be posting that on our website a bit more, so just to have a check-in and get back to us, that would be great. And if you have none, that's fine, but just reply back to her with none, and that way we know everyone got the email. So we just want to make sure we're promoting our boards as much as possible. From that one article that I did in the paper, I've had 3 phone calls now for our board, so I think it's worthwhile. And then the other board I wanted to report on was our Headwaters Alliance. We had a meeting, and we almost haven't for a year because the technical group has been meeting, which we have our member Bill Adams is on for the town, and so do all the Clearwater County, Brazeau County, Leduc County, Village of Thorsby, Clearwater, Wetaskiwin, there's lots. They all meet and have come up with recommendations for moving forward, some focuses for short-term, medium, and long-term. One of the plans they're working on is a partnership with EPCOR. They go out and they do water quality sampling in different tributaries and main streams, and they're always looking for partners, so hopefully we're hoping Drayton can connect with that, as well as I think some of the others are too. It's a program that they monitor and they pay for. There is also a sediment program where they can actually, it's like, they call it DNA. They can track where any piece of sand comes from based on the molecules that are on it, attached around it, in it. Yeah, it's pretty intensive and long-term, and that's what they're kind of doing it is for the long-term study of seeing where these particles are moving and what they have in them. If they can be sampling from all the little tributaries that run into the main streams, they can be seeing if there's actual cumulative effects or chemical effects coming from certain areas. Because once they get further down, it gets harder to tell. So as we're at the top of the headwaters, they want to be monitoring all the different areas that it comes from right off the bat. They're looking at doing some groundwater supply predictions. So oil and gas already does a lot of that, and they're just looking to partner up with them and do some more monitoring. They'll be using, more so in the counties where they have the wells, they can actually test the water levels and stuff like that. And they're working on doing a GIS compilation of municipal data. So all municipalities report to environment, but they want to make sure that we all have access and that we can be monitoring and seeing what everyone else is doing and compiling our data so that we're making sure everyone is using proper development zones and cross-referencing moving forward. And then the final thing is that we are going to be moving forward. Some of these projects will require funding, and we're looking at Alberta Innovates for that. So they'll be looking for municipalities to provide just a letter of support in terms of moving forward with these projects. So as more details come, that was kind of our first overview that we had last time, then I'll bring more forward. That's it.
Excellent. Thanks very much. 11.3, Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On November 2nd, I attended our Homelessness and Poverty Reduction Strategy Team meeting. We have had an increase of usage with our MAP program. We have approximately 17 volunteers now, and we continue to recruit, but we are now able to be open 3 to 4 evenings a week, which, as the cold weather has now come upon us, I'm sure that we will see an increase in folks that come to use the MAP program, and it is getting its foundation has become very solid, and people are becoming more aware of the program. And Global News was in our community on the following day, November 4th, and they interviewed our mayor and our Homelessness and Poverty Reduction Strategy Coordinator, Emily Hickman, and they did a great job in spotlighting this program in our community and how Drayton Valley is working diligently to address homelessness and poverty reduction, particularly homelessness in this interview, in rural communities in Alberta. And I was very grateful that our community was chosen to be part of that newscast. On November 4th, I also attended the Recreation and Cultural Workshop. I'm sure Councillor Nadeau will speak more on it. We had, approximately 40 people attend that workshop. It was a very diverse group of folks in the community, all from recreation, arts and culture, library, multicultural, Ag Society. There was just a great show of people, great conversations with our facilitator, helping us along with addressing some of the questions for our community. And for me, it was very encouraging that we had such great support in the community for our recreation and cultural master plan, and some great insight from the actual stakeholders in our community concerning that process. And I also was able to have some very insightful conversations with people from the Multicultural Association that evening. So for me, it was a very interesting evening. Also attended the city dashboard workshop with IBM and TELUS, as Mr. Nadeau mentioned, and although some of this technical information goes a little over my head, I think in the long run, once this is up and running, it will provide incredible amounts of data for our community, which helps us problem solve issues that we may have, and also helps us make wiser decisions when we come to problem solving in the community and allocating funding for that as well. Just coming up this week, we have the Christmas Light Up Parade on Friday evening starting at 7 o'clock. Saturday evening, we have the CT4DV Gala, which of course is a fundraiser for the CT scanner at our hospital. That's Saturday night. And Friday night and Saturday night, EPAC is hosting the Mousetrap presentation put on by the Valley River Players. Of course, my daughter, being who she is involved with that, so I might have to skip the parade to go see Friday's performance of the Mousetrap. And I also will be attending the FCSS annual Alberta conference this coming week. On a personal note, I wanted to mention a conference that I got to go to for my own personal self-development, which was the National Teachers as an English Language Conference held at Lake Louise a couple weekends ago. And I was there as a teacher in my own personal capacity, but the mentor that was my sponsor insisted on introducing me to different people as a counselor, because she wanted conference attendees to know that there was a counselor coming to this conference of 800 English as a second language teachers, that somebody brought a different perspective. And I was constantly called upon to give my perspective about English language teaching and its impact on community. And I was very honored to be able to wear that hat at that conference when I had no plans on being the counselor at that conference. But it just raised awareness to me that the people that do bring educational programming into their communities, whether it's ESL or whether it's language for employment, that they do want to know how it's impacting communities. And I, from my perspective, get to say, yes, it does have an impact. And of course, as we move into different services that may be needing to be offered in our country as we support the move for refugees coming into Canada, ESL and its associated programming is very important in all communities, and particularly so in small communities. So I'm hoping that what I brought home from that personal conference will have a positive trickle-down effect into our community as well. So I just wanted to highlight that that was an excellent conference for me to go to, but it had a dual purpose that was unintended. So, and I want to offer my congratulations to Chief Thompson and all the amazing work you do with the fire department, especially in the work that you do in engaging the young people of our community in the very creative ways that you do that. I think starting at the ground level with youngsters as early as grade 1 is just an excellent game plan in fire prevention and awareness in our community. So I thank you for your work. And that's my report.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To start off with, I attended a committee meeting of the Eagle Point Blue Rapids Parks Council as an alternate for Councillor Wheeler. I came away from that meeting with my mind just buzzing with ideas. It was excellent to see on that committee new faces that you don't typically see on every other committee that you're sitting on. They were passing their budget and they were doing a conservative budget, but even in light of that, there's a lot of ambitious projects that they have, including campgrounds, trail signage, things that allow people to better utilize and enjoy our provincial park that is on our borders. So that was excellent. Eagle Point Blue Rapids is also, they were also discussing fundraising. As most committees in our community, they're feeling that economic downturn, and they are looking for people who are giving generously in a fundraising department. So I just wanted to put that out there more so for the video that's being played, so people are aware that these guys are also endeavoring to fundraise. Last Saturday, I was orientated on the Brazeau Seniors Foundation, and that was another committee that kind of struck me. I thought it was going to be a sleepy little committee, and actually there's quite a bit of excitement there, which is really neat. And it was excellent to hear we are very highly regarded as a governing body for housing in across the province. Our executive director for this particular organization is very sought after. She is well within all of the acts and the boundaries, runs a very tight budget, but does so well maintaining excellent housing opportunities for our seniors, as well as the vast amount of other demographics that this foundation caters to. So that was a excellent meeting, just getting a handle on all the different housing projects that this foundation oversees. It's not just seniors, it's also affordable housing. It also is municipal housing programs that we have running. So there's provincial things there too. So that was interesting. And then Monday we had our first of possibly three capital budget meetings. And this being my first full budget going from start to finish, it has been excellent to go through the operations, now going through the capital, as well as going through the community member component as well. So I am excited about this whole process. Finally, sorry, this was back at the end of October, I attended an economic and sustainability course delivered through Augustana University in Camrose, and it's one of several sustainability courses. My report didn't make this agenda, but it should be on the following agenda, to which I would talk to it a little bit further then. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks so much, Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a very busy few weeks. I just wanted to touch base on a few things. EPAC and the construction, obviously everybody knows that that's a major thing going on. They're still not quite there. So it'll be touch and go for Friday.
Yeah, they did last week.
Yeah, but it's not complete. So, but we're getting there. So I just want to commend perseverance is a very good word for this committee and this board, because they've been knocked down a couple of times with all the delays and so on, and they've persevered, and we'll get there eventually. But I just want to commend the EPAC board for their commitment to arts and culture in the community, and really being that voice. I'll just highlight a couple things maybe just really quickly rather than do a full report, if that's okay. I also attended the Rec and Culture Master Planning session with community stakeholders, and I echo Councillor Bossert's comments. I think it was excellent. They're hoping for 30 and got over 40, and people are still walking in the door. We've had emails about people wanting to make connections. What was phenomenal is that there was a good portion in that room that didn't know the other people existed. And when you have a community stakeholder and you can, at the end of the conference or at the end of the evening, people handing out business cards to each other and saying how we can work together and support each other is phenomenal. We had everyone there from the Métis Association, Multicultural Association, Heritage Component Art. We had local artists, young artists that she talked about her struggles leaving home at a very young age and finding her future in arts and having positive mentors support that. It was a wonderful evening. And I'm glad that there's another one because there were 12 questions to be asked that evening. Only 4 actually got answered because there was so much discussion, which was great. And I certainly left inspired about what's possible in our community. And if all of those people, like that's our Future Arts Council, I was just so pleased. And I'm glad that there's another one too, because my concern about creating a culture master plan in 2 hours with 4 answers didn't obviously like that. So there will be other future meetings, and there were people that wanted to do more and to contribute, which was wonderful. Tyler touched on the branding, so we will be doing that. And we are encouraging people that they're on the fence too. We want those, there are some concerns that people, they want to keep what we have, and that's okay. We want everybody to be at that meeting that night, so we just want to kind of have that message about getting those people, because we want them part of the process and be those ambassadors and really hear from the horse's mouth what we're doing, and we want to honor what the community feels and what makes Drayton Valley special. So we want to hear all those voices at the table, so we really are, please come out next Wednesday night or Thursday morning. There's some options. We are doing an outreach to our local grade 6 classes. We've had two grade 6, because they're talking about governance and citizenship and civic through their curriculum. We have reached out and they are very happy we're going to bring some branding questions to them with the council to go talk to those grade 6 classes about some of the branding and getting youth's opinion on the brand as well, because they're our future as well and should be included in that process. So we're happy to create that kind of youth component in it as well. And hopefully counselors can participate in that. I'm sure it's not until December, that component, getting into the schools. And then just to touch a little bit on our legacy meeting, we're happy that we have Teresa now. We had a little briefing to kind of the fire hose you were talking about, she got yesterday for a major project. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. We have a meeting set for December 3rd, 7 p.m. here at the Civic. For anybody who wants to be a part of that process and honoring our past and gaining those stories. And we're going to talk about terms of reference and the scope of the project and really starting to dig down on goals. So that will be that evening. And I don't have it as part of, before I move on, I did have my first ECDC meeting for the operational board meeting again. So it's funny because the information hadn't been updated on the committee and I was still on there, so it worked out. But I just want to say that the board passed unanimously an amendment to a policy that would require a full month's, well, it still requires 30 days to give 30-day written notice, but it was in addition to a full month's fee. And the board passed unanimously that given and wanting to support their families within the center, that will no longer be the case. There will not be an additional 1 month because people are losing their jobs, and an additional 1 month in addition to that is just, they're finding they're not supporting their families in that capacity. So unable to support the children and the families within ECDC, the board voted unanimously to amend that policy yesterday. So I think that's a good news story that we're trying to support other people throughout our facilities where we can. And I will touch just briefly on the Creative City Summit that I attended in Kelowna. I can say without a doubt in the 8.5 years I've been a counselor that it's made my top 3 conferences that I've ever attended. I thoroughly enjoyed it, from everything to creating, it was about tourism, multiculturalism, placemaking, how we can intertwine and infrastructure and art and create that capacity building. There was programming. It was phenomenal. It was really phenomenal. And I came back with this stack of stuff that will be going into my report. I'm curious to see if council would let me do a PowerPoint rather than, I know you're not going to read my 18-page report. So maybe at a future council, I could just summarize a little bit on one of the things that really struck me and what we can move forward. And I think that's maybe a better way to engage the community as well, if you guys would be open to that. And what was most interesting to note that a lot of communities and a lot of municipalities actually have a certain percentage of their actual capital budget dedicated to culture. And we don't. And we're one of actually the few that don't. More and more, that is the case. You will find me bring that up at our next budget meeting, and I do have a proposal for you guys. But I think we can really move forward and be an all-encompassing community, because as we talked about preventative and fire services and anti-bullying, this too is preventative in nature. And it talked about resiliency in communities, and what a better time to invest. That's my soapbox.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Long.
I've got to say, I'm a little disappointed not to get to read your 18-page report, Nicole. I'll try and get by. I'll try and be brief. On the October 30th, I attended the FCSS meeting as alternate for Councillor Borsett. Blast from the past, hadn't been there for a while. There was one point of interest came up in it, but it's on the agenda for this afternoon, so I will leave it and we can talk about it then. On the second, Yellowhead Regional Library, we passed the budget. Everything is good. Everybody's happy. On the third, the branding, as Nicole's already touched on. The fourth, G&P. On the fifth, along with His Worship, Mayor Glenn McLean, I attended the CICAN Symposium in the beautiful town of Medicine Hat, where I got a speeding ticket, incidentally. So not that beautiful. I was trying to get out quickly. This was CICAN is the Colleges and Institutes of Canada, basically 1 degree below universities, 1 level below full universities, but an interesting group of people. We were obviously presenting on the CETC and our relationship with Norquest. So 3 people from Norquest there along with us, and I thought it went extremely well. I didn't do the presenting part, but I did talk to a number of people afterwards, and the presenter the following morning, who is Murray McLaughlin, and I've forgotten the name of his organisation, also spoke extensively about Drayton Valley, the BioMile and the Clean Energy Centre, so I got more questions following that, which is why I was in a rush to leave afterwards, incidentally, but a very worthwhile couple of days as far as these people are sort of decision-making level. And right across the country. So if we're trying to get the word out about what we're doing, this was a very worthwhile process. Following that, I had the library board on the 10th. I went to Remembrance Day, which I have done most of the time since I've been here. Big crowd this year, which was nice to see. So nice to take a little day there and think about what's happened in the past and hope that it doesn't happen in the future. The 12th, we had the CTC meeting. The 16th, as Councillor Frederickson said, the budget. And yesterday, we had a brief meeting with some folks from Weyerhaeuser, much of which isn't public information, I think. But it was good to hear that our Weyerhaeuser mill is doing very well, and they expect it to continue to do very well. So that's good, obviously, for the local economy. Finally, of course, I'd like to welcome our new CAO, but it would be remiss of me to let the departure of our old CAO, although he's not completely gone yet. Manny's, you can say what you like about Manny, and I have done in the past. And I may do again in the future, but you will not find anyone who cares more about Drayton Valley than that man. And I salute his 40-year service to this community. And with that, I will leave it there.
Thank you very much. Stealing my thunder on many levels. So a lot of the things Councillor Long has referred to were meetings and events that involved me. So I'll touch on a few highlights. October 29th through 30th, I attended a municipal governance education for elected officials course through AUMA. Interesting that half the councillors in attendance were rural, half urban. The the part of the session and the segment that took the greatest amount of time and devotion of mental energy from all the participants was on the upcoming revisions to the Municipal Government Act and what it means for municipalities. In particular, there was considerable discussion surrounding the prospect of amalgamations. That discussion was not led by yours truly. There was considerable discussion around matters of revenue sharing and intermunicipal cooperation generally. It was encouraging to see the level of maturity demonstrated all around the room on those issues. I got back just in time on the 30th to attend the Children's Wish Gala, where I was witness to a tremendous outpouring of support for families and individuals who live difficult lives and are receiving the support of their community in order to improve their lives. November 3rd, I think as Councillor Bossert alluded to, the Global TV interview, I was pleased to participate in that to help profile the issue of rural homelessness. Our homelessness problem, if we don't deal with it, certainly becomes a problem on our municipal and social infrastructure, but it can also become a problem for those who govern larger communities, as those people who are in need of supports move on. And so the interview, I thought, went very well. Emily, our homelessness and poverty coordinator, did particularly well, and I think communicated the message aptly. From my perspective, the message was specifically homelessness requires the assistance of other levels of government to help solve this problem. We cannot do it alone. No municipality can do it entirely alone. But we have made great strides in our community, and in fact, we are seeing the Alberta Rural Development Network has commented to us on a number of occasions that we are seen as a model within the municipal world in Alberta. So, beyond that, as Councillor Long alluded to, the Energy Partnerships Conference, or CICAN, Colleges and Institutes Canada, was the sponsor. What struck me, apart from the, I think, relative success of our presentation, was very well attended, some excellent questions, and good feedback from participants too, willing to help and add that bit of information to us to help point us in the right direction so that we can build upon the success that we've achieved thus far in our relationship with Norquest at the CETC. One thing that struck me in particular was the discussion about how colleges and institutes ought to be seeking out municipal partnerships. And in fact, I was sought out by the president of Medicine Hat College for that very purpose. She wanted to commend me on the relationship that our community has with Norquest College. She indicated that it was only very recently that Medicine Hat College had struck any kind of dialogue along those lines with the city of Medicine Hat. It's happening now, and I think to good effect. But there's a lesson in there for all of us, I think, in the municipal world, that partnerships are the way forward. November 11th, of course, I was honored to speak at Remembrance Day, and I think that explains in part the good turnout. Yeah, you're welcome. I think Mother Nature had a good deal to do with that as well. But it was an honor, and just to to hear some of the comments from some of our veterans, people who are serving and have served, was poignant as always, and just the acts of remembrance that are ongoing in our community and elsewhere, I think, are key. On the 13th, I was honored to be a guest of Dr. Prem Singmar, who was the recipient of a National Philanthropy Day Award in the city of Edmonton. The awards luncheon was attended by over 800 people. A large number of organizations and individuals throughout the city of Edmonton were recognized for their efforts, and then, as I mentioned, Dr. Singmar's contributions, in particular in this case, he was recognized for his contributions to Norquest College, were well recognized and documented. I should say Drs. Singmar, his wife is also a medical doctor, as I understand it, and they've been excellent citizens and philanthropists in the greater Edmonton area, so we were pleased to participate in that. And the other budget meetings and other meetings have been touched on already, so I will conclude it there. Everybody needs lunch. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Councillor Long, all in favor? That is carried. We're adjourned.